All right, we'll do it live. Come into the room. Come into the room. We'll do it live. I like to also open up with a gospel song sometimes, and I'm feeling it. So I'm going to sing a gospel song that my grandmama used to always play every Sunday morning. Well, the radio played it like clockwork. And it's why I say come into the room. All right. There is joy in the room. Okay. Joy in the room. I said, Jesus is my doctor. And he write out all my scriptures. Oh, he healed me of all my medicine in my room. All right, amen, hallelujah. Praise him, praise him. If you skip anything in church, you don't skip the praise and worship service, baby. You don't skip the praise and worship service unless you're a demon. All right, I've seen some demons try to skip out on the praise and worship service. They revealed themselves immediately. All right, speaking of demons, did you guys catch that live last night? Oh! Did y'all catch that live last night? I know I did. I'm going to talk about that first. So before I talk about Mr. E, I'm going to talk about that live last night because it was a lot. It was a lot. You know, it was like almost 4 hours long, right? And I like Tanya TKO. She puts on a show, right? When I put on a show, she puts on a show. I like a good show, right? I like a good cam up, all right? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. You got cam up every now and then, right? So it was a good show. So Tanya TKO had the guy who said to the Pink Pill's boyfriend that he was an in-lover, okay? She had the guy on her show. Incredible. And I mean, you know, I'm not going to lie. He definitely revealed a pathology that I know a lot of these guys out here have that I think is important to see and to understand, you know, kind of, I guess, what you're dealing with out there, you know. You know, for me as somebody in a, for me as someone in an interracial relationship, it's kind of scary that there are guys out there, right, that are like seething, just thinking about, right, like Black women not dating Black men. Just the thought of it makes them seethe, you know. But of course, there's different levels, right? And it ultimately ends with like, she better not be with a white guy, right? And, you know, you know, it was kind of scary. So let's get into it, okay? Last night I saw in that live an imbalance. You know, Julius, right? And I don't know if that's his real name. He said, you know, I think he said his name was Clubhouse Julius. Like, I don't know what his name is, but that's what he said, right? Julius. Hey, what's up, y'all? Come into the room. I hope you didn't miss my gospel song. I won't do it again. You can hear it in the beginning. All right. I have a great empathy for what racism and white supremacy has done to the hearts and minds of Black people, to our people. You know, everyone has great empathy for the many people that have been impacted by, Western imperialism, right? And colonization, right? Everyone has great empathy for that, right? They're like, look how America has destroyed our countries. And I get it. And like I said, I empathize greatly with that. And I empathize greatly with that because I can relate, because I can see how the impact that living as an oppressed minority group of Black people has had on Black people in this country. And that's why I implore all Black people to read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGraw, okay? Because when you know yourself, it's a lot harder for them to touch you, okay? And I speak from experience always, okay? They got me hard when I was coming up, okay? Going into these PWIs, and ain't nobody say nothing about Black power when I was growing up, you know. No one said anything about race or racism, right? And I'm talking about the Black people that were around me. I never had one conversation with one Black person, an adult, right, that said anything about it. The first person I remember saying something about what's happening right now is racist is me. In high school, when I was saying to my teachers, I was like, why, when we have a dress down day, because I went to private Catholic school, I was like, why, when I have a dress down day, I'm wearing spaghetti straps and y'all sitting up here looking at me like I'm some harlot, when I was literally, I kept my V card for a very long time, put it that way. All right. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay. Hold on to the V card. All right. Hold on to it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Shit. So I was a very, reserved young woman. But I had big boobs. But I mean, I have big boobs, right? But it's like, I went to an all-girls school. I went to an all-girls high school. So why were these teachers being, so mean to me about it? And the thing is, you guys can hear how I am. I was very unfiltered growing up, very unfiltered, because I grew up, throughout the crack cocaine epidemic. I grew up in foster care. I grew up in chaos. And then I get on the bus, and it's time to go to these private Catholic, PWIs, where under no certain terms, I understand I'm to behave a certain way. Right. And that's why I love people pretending like racism doesn't exist, because I'm like, why are, they always let Black people know like how they're to behave around other people. And for the most part, you see that happening. You see an understanding of that sadly, I don't see Black people giving each other. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like. All right. Anyways, the point is, I would call my teachers out for being racist. The ones that was racist. Yes, I would. And classmates. It starts early, baby. They learn quick. They learn quick. They learn quick to believe in the myth of their superiority. Just like they teach Black people to believe in the myth of their inferiority. All right. So why do I bring that up? Julius was saying a lot of stuff. And hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Please come into the room and please hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. I don't often do these topics, but like I said, if y'all will come in and join me and hit the thumbs up button and support, I'll keep doing it. Shit. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Okay, so Julius said a lot of things that made me think this man is highly indoctrinated. Let's call a spade a spade. This man is highly indoctrinated. Most of what he knows about history, he's heard from other people. That doesn't count. It means a lot more when you read it from a textbook. It means a lot more when you hear it from the source than y'all just talking to each other and lying about history and, doing a spoken word with history that's written down. You can't spoken word history that's written down, baby. We already know how things work and how things happened. And they sitting up there doing the little, message transfers to each other, just changing the story every time they tell it, right? And making themselves mad and angering themselves, right? You know, you saw him and you thought, oh, this looks like a nice young man, but you got to also remember what he did, right? And what he did is what I see a lot of people, I'm just going to be honest, I see a lot of people 30 and younger, all right? We got a 30 and younger crowd here, all right, that think that they're going to put the ER, all right? We was already doing Ika and Uka, right? You had Ika, you had Uka, any variation of that, right? You said you was going to reclaim it. Now y'all saying the hard ER. I noticed that a few years ago. So proud of it too. Just, they'll be so proud. And all the time just clowning yourself because it's not, y'all started doing that like 2 years ago. How's it working out for you? Huh? Did you prove something to somebody? Because they still got a bunch of videos out there and y'all know it's true. Girl, you know it's true. When Black people hear that word, it's on and popping. So what has changed? What has changed to set you free? From the violence of that word. And don't get me wrong, you know, y'all know I say Ika and Uka on here, you know. I do it because it's fun, okay? I'm like that little black kid. Remember that little black kid? It was like, I want to do hood shit with my friends. You know, hey, sometimes I want to do hood shit with my friends, right? You guys are my friends, okay? All right. But, you know, I mean, I've never used it around white people, except my husband, is what it is. And I rarely use it outside of clowning around, right? Just being honest. I use it like when I'm clowning around. And when I get on here, it's all fun and jokes and games for me. You know, I like to have a good time, or else I wouldn't be on here. It's people getting on here, they up there, you know, I'm like, I don't want to be on here pressed. All right. So he said the word, right? And apparently he says this to Pink Pill's boyfriend because somebody asked Pink Pill's boyfriend, how would your family feel about you bringing a Black woman home, right? And he said he hesitated. And because he hesitated, I knew he was lying. And so the impulse he has, right? The word vomit that comes out of his mouth is in lover. I believe that this 30 and younger crowd, and it's not all of y'all. Y'all know, I see you 27. I know it's not you, right? It's not all y'all. Hello, welcome, beautiful. Y'all call him Julius, okay? I'm sorry. I'm just having flashbacks to like when he really lost it about Emmett Till, you know. And again, this is what I'm talking about with you know, and here's the thing too, guys, keep this in mind. He said he was at his mother's house. He's making all this noise and fuss in his mother's house. There's nothing within him that says respect this Black woman. But if she dated a white dude, he would be mad at her. But he's all up in her house yelling and screaming and doing the most. We should have been hearing a hammer going off in the background the whole time he talked. Because you got to build. You can't stop building. You can't stop the beat. You can't stop the build. Okay? Don't stop building. Okay? Instead, he yelling and screaming going through mama's house. Where's the respect? Where's the respect? Something within him should have said, you know what? Not in my mama's house. All right? Not my mama's cooking. All right? So he has a great preoccupation with what other people are doing. And I'm telling y'all right now, let it be all jokes and games on YouTube. That's how Oprah says it, okay? I say it like that in hopes of getting some of that, manifesting some of that wealth flow. YouTube. Let it be all jokes and games on YouTube, okay? But let it end there, okay? You can be nosy, doing your social media thing. I understand that, right? But in your real life, you need to be focused on yourself and what you're doing. You need to be focused on empowering your family. If you really are concerned about what other people are doing, build something for them. That usually works. That usually does the trick. It do. So he has a preoccupation with other people that is unnatural, most unnatural, right? Like, why do y'all think that is cute and okay? I don't know who gave y'all the okay to do that. I don't. It's not cute. You didn't get nothing from it. There was no power play exchange where they were like WS, and racism was like, you know what? Checkmate. You checkmated me there, because they're still saying it. They say it to everybody. You shouldn't allow it to be said by anybody. And they are out here saying it to everybody. Anybody with a tan, a Karen will see and start calling it a hard R, right? Hard ER. And we gotta love ourselves and respect our culture and respect our history and respect our ancestors enough to understand the weight of that word. And again, I'm not talking about I'd rather be your N-I-G-G-A. I'm not talking about that one. All right. I'm talking about hard ER. All right. Y'all was doing fine with the IGGA. You took it too far with the hard ER. That's not reclaiming anything. There's violence in that word. That word was used to persecute your ancestors. Facts. We got to love ourselves. We got to love our people. But then you heard about the Black American Heritage flag, and you heard about a secret language that you couldn't keep quiet about. Right? And it's, yeah. You got to go beyond the flag, booze. You got to love more than the flag. You got to love more than the secret language. You got to love more than the clout. So Julius is talking about something about Black men being the head of the household. I'm sorry. Okay, that's great. Men are the head of the household, right? If they're there, if they are in the household, then they can lead the household. Yes. Which is something I never experienced growing up. Okay. In any house I was in, even when people were married, it was the woman's money. Now, I'm just being honest. I grew up, I've seen a lot. It was always the Black woman's money. Wouldn't that make her the head of household? Isn't that what y'all always complaining about? Anyways, but okay, sure. So yeah, the men are the head of the household, right? That's one of the points that he makes, right? So he gets into what he gets into on this panel on Tanya TKO's channel is like, basically he reveals that he's obsessed with interracial relationships. That's what he reveals. He reveals that he's obsessed with interracial relationships, and he thinks about it all the time, that he's very preoccupied by it, right? And I'm telling you, you got to free your mind, and the rest will follow. Read some books about, engineering. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other things your mind should be doing, and that's not one of them. It's pointless. It's counterproductive. People are going to be with who they want to be with. Yeah, caught it. I was like, nigga, what you doing there? He's like, I'm at my mom's house. Right. Okay. Oh shit. I said the igga. All right. But Hardy R's? Come on. You know, I will not be around people that don't want to with me. Point blank, period. You don't with me, baby. I'm not gonna be around you. You ain't gotta tell me twice. You know? And you gotta understand what she represents. You know they hate it. They hate what she represents. So, you know, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't go around people that are haters. You know what I'm saying? Because the likelihood of them hating on me will be strong. I don't need that. Absolutely. It's too much video game playing. I'll take all your game systems away. I'll take all the consoles out the house. Because they live in La La Land. I had to tell somebody I know once. Keep the video games, bruh. That's your world, bruh. I live in the real world. All right? You jumping over houses in a video game and you leading wars. You fighting the genophage. You leveling up. Count those coins and count that level up, baby, and keep it in the game system. Don't flex like that's what you're doing out here. It's escapism. That's why I make fun of it. And I'm just point blank, period. Because anybody knows me knows that I play video games. I like playing video games. I started playing them during the pandemic when I had little else to do, okay? I started playing them, right? First I was playing Mortal Kombat because I was like, wee! Because Meg Thee Stallion played Mortal Kombat and I used to play it when I was little and I was like, oh, yay, right? And then I got into The Witcher. I'm not new to this. I played a few video games. I don't go outside and be like, try to boss people around. I play a video game for like half an hour. 2 hours the most a week. It's not going nowhere. Yeah, I use it to have fun, but there's a difference between fun and escapism. And you have to be mindful of always escaping from reality, right? Because, you know, I was having nightmares last night because I keep playing, you know, Cyberpunk. Okay? I was having nightmares, you know? My nightmares have, my dreams themselves, right, have been impacted by playing video games. I noticed that. So what I'm telling y'all truthfully, when y'all play them video games, it changes you. And it needs to be done little to none at all. If you play video games your whole life growing up, I didn't get to play video games my whole life growing up, okay? I grew up in the hood. I was one of 5 kids. And they never passed me to control, okay? It never got to D, okay? So that's why I wanted to try some, you know, I like a little video game nowadays, you know? I didn't play that stuff when I was growing up like that. You know, I played it, you know, a few times here and there. But like I said, I had to sit and watch everybody else. And if anybody knows that, they didn't pass me the control, okay? And I would like sit in the corner and cry, you know? Terrible. Okay, let's get back to Julius. Okay, anyways, I don't know why they're always talking about, so his stance on interracial relationships is if it's a black woman and a white man, it's based in slavery, okay? And that's all there is to it. But if it's a black man and a white woman, then it's the level up, the revolutionary level up of a lifetime. You see the hypocrisy? You see the hypocrisy? absolutely, Sparrow. Absolutely, Sparrow. And I've always goofed around about it, right? I've taken it very seriously in terms of it's not something that I say in my personal life that much. And I don't say it around non-Black people. You know what I'm saying? But should I stop saying it in general? Of course. And I'm working on it. I am. But at the same time, it's hard because you see all these non-Black people saying it, and you want to let them know that that's not right. I remember when I first moved to New York in 2008, when I first moved to New York City, I'm on the bus on the Upper East Side. I'm hearing this, that, right? And where I'm from, you don't hear that unless you're deep in the hood. And I knew I wasn't deep in the hood. I was on the Upper East Side. So I turned around quick, right? And it was a bunch of teenage Hispanic and white kids in their school uniforms calling each other Ika, right? I'll try to say Ika from now on. But it pissed me off because I had at that point gone 22 years without ever saying that in public, just in the hood with friends kind of ish, right? And I was so angry, right? And anyone that's been in New York knows how they allowed them in New York. They allowed them to say that word. You can't believe it when you're Black and you come from someplace else, right? And then you get to New York and it's literally everyone saying it. It's everywhere. They're like, hey, we had to look at Black people. We had to live in neighborhoods like Black people's neighborhoods. We had to live near them. We get to say the word. That's literally the mindset here. And apparently it's that in some other places too, and in California and Miami, you know what I'm saying? So I did want to reclaim it. I did want to reclaim it when I was using it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm over it because, like I said, I don't think it's worked, guys. I think we need a plan B. Okay? I think we need a plan B. And when it comes to hard ER, just stop. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had grandma's cooking, Kwame. Y'all know my husband loves to listen to Kwame. Loves to listen to Kwame. We love listening to Kwame here. But he's been a little unfair to the women, but what else is no. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I don't listen to him that much anymore. But every now and then, when we can catch him, we like to, hear what he's got to say, as long as he's not trying to go hard at Black women for no reason. Showing videos of one dude, right, having to deal with cops because he's trying to get his kids. Like, dude, I get it. But also, come on, like, we all grew up in the hood. You know how hard it is there for everybody. Why would you try to blame it on the women? Like, why would you try to blame it on anybody? Like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that blame and, again, y'all know, I don't do that gender war, diaspora war stuff. I'm here to empower, educate, and break it down and have a good time doing it. That's it. All right, so let's continue talking about Julius. So he reveals that that's his mentality about interracial dating, that he's kind of very, very preoccupied with interracial dating. And when he sees a Black woman with a white man, that triggers him the most because it reminds him of slavery, right? So he says when Black men are with white women, it's their way of kind of redominating, right? It's their way of, ha ha ha, right? Now they've got the upper hand, right? Sorry. So he's talking about how the men are the head of the household, and that's why they'll get credit, for being with a white woman, because the credit goes to the man, and the man is making this household Black, right? And the children the biracial children are black because, of course, the dad's black, right? And in people like Julius's head, men are raising children, right? Like that's the norm. In their head, they're like, and the men are raising the children, even though most of us didn't have a daddy. He was somewhere, but he wasn't around. And that's a statistical fact. In their head, a black man with a non-black woman, those kids are going to be black, right? And it's a nice thing to want, I'm sure. But most men understand that it's the women that lead the culture. And the women lead the culture because the women raise the children. And that's a statistical fact. So I don't understand how men can get on here and say things yeah, men should be the head of the household, but oftentimes they're not, financially or leadership-wise, right? But when they are, that's great. And we celebrate the ones that are, okay? But why do you keep saying that men are raising children that are biracial to be black when the statistics show they're not in the households with these kids at all? And you don't have to look far to see that. There's examples everywhere of biracial children living with their white mothers and their white mother's family. Because the majority of biracials in this country are born to white mothers. That's a statistical fact. Another statistical fact is the majority of those biracials, of all of the black and white biracials, they marry white. And they're marrying white because they grew up around white people. That's why you calling them black. You see what I'm talking about? That's where the the identity crisis comes in. And it's these interracial relationships. It's these parents' jobs to instill a sense of identity into their kids. Not to know good and damn well that they're going to have a biracial kid and then have them around white people all day and then tell them you're black. Go over there and be black with them, right? And we see a lot of TikTok videos, and a lot of these kids are exposing this. And that's why it's so important to know who your partner is and know if they're a kind of person that would use that word, right? Because if they would use it around hundreds and thousands of people, would they not use it around your children when it rolls off the tongue so easy, right? And you got to keep in mind, your people, your culture, your history matters just as much as everyone else's. No one else is doing. Y'all don't even know the derogatory slurs of most other groups. Every group of people has a derogatory slur based on their interactions with other groups of people. Okay? Y'all don't know what those are because they're not going to tell you. They're not. They're not going to be like, hey, here's a word to use against me. They're not going to do that. That's why everyone's saying the word that's supposed to hurt you. And you should want to shut it down. Simmer down now. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Mm. Kids come out all different ways. I've heard a lot of biracial black people, right? Like just call themselves biracial black. And in that way, they respect the fact that there are black people who are not raised by white parents, right? And that's not a black experience. It's a biracial experience. And so they call themselves biracial black. And I think that I think that's a great way to call yourself. If you're biracial, you could be biracial Asian, right? And in Japan, biracial Asian people are called hafu. They're not called Japanese. And that's why the media plays a lot with Naomi Osaka about, like, is she Japanese enough? Is she Japanese enough? Not just because she's biracial with Black, but any biracial person in Japan has to call themselves a hafu. That's just how it is, right? Because Japan is very strict about their history and their culture and their heritage, and that's period. Okay? But people don't know that because people don't know anything about anything else. All they know about is themselves. Okay? People don't bother to look stuff up. So let's get back to Julian. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and even in other places, right? Biracial people are called something different than the Black people. It's in South America. It's in South Africa, right? That's just how it is because they're having a different experience. Many experiences the same and many experiences not. But the one drop rule, which white people used so that you wouldn't confuse their ranks, so that these beautiful biracial women weren't walking around them tempting their men, being like, well, I'm white, I get the equality you get, I get the land you get, I get the protection you get. No, you don't look like me. They don't want to deal with it. You would think that all these women having these biracial kids would have figured something out by now, so that their kids weren't walking around going on TikTok talking about, you know, just how tumultuous it really is to be biracial in America. Because let me tell you something, when I started my relationship with my husband, I didn't know that there was this, you know, you can't date anybody that I mean, you always know in the back of your head, but I was like, my God, like, are not all Black people working for white people? You're in a white country. It's desegregated by law. Everyone's working for them. Everyone's going to school with them. All the men are sleeping with and a lot of the men, a good chunk of men are sleeping with constantly and or having babies with them, and that's a fact. But y'all shaking y'all head when it comes to marriage? Dysfunction. You won't catch me getting tripped up on the dysfunction, baby. I will never get tripped up on dysfunction. Never. Now, you can't behave like you've built what Japan has built. Do you get it? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it comes down to for me. I'm like, these two people, it's time to get on these IRR couples. You get together, you want cute babies, you think you look cute together, and these kids are paying the price. How hard is it to let them know they're part of both of you? Well, because you can't, because the white kids because the biracial kids, when they go to their white family members, they're being called the N-word. And no, it's not everyone. But don't come on my channel with that, everybody, because everybody getting it on my channel, okay? I get it. Everybody gets it. It's called accountability, baby. I don't go nowhere without it. These kids have let the world know how interracial couples have failed them, by and large. by and large. I mean, I see the ones in the NBA look pretty happy. But what if you're not in the NBA? What if you're biracial and you're not in the NBA? Disgusting. Yeah, it's pretty low vibrational over there too. I don't, I don't like the low vibrations. So, my heart really goes out to our biracial Black brothers and sisters, and how so many of their parents have failed them. Let's move on. The guy is delusional, okay? He mentions Olivia Pope. He said, think Olivia Pope! Olivia Pope is not real. She's not real, okay? But because they live in video game world and TV land, and somebody said in the comments, I just saw the music land, right? Dude, live in reality. Live in reality. Olivia Pope, what are you talking about? We're having a conversation about real life. Real life, and this dude is talking about movies. He mentioned Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Halle Berry is a biracial Black woman who was raised by her white mother because her Black father walked out on them, just like Doja Cat, just like Obama. He mentions Birth of a Nation, right? He starts talking about how, isn't it something great that they used to look at us as animals and savages, and now they want us, right? And I'm like, it's not the same people, bruh. You living in the past. You're living in, what are you talking about? Those people are in the past. You're dealing with people now. Why would you think that people are looking at you like they did during slavery? Where they were wrong. So I don't give a how somebody that's wrong looked at my ancestors. I don't care. Because anyone that would enslave a group of people, they are the savages. And everybody knows that. Okay? And then time passes. And things change and people change. None of us are the same. You might be sitting down in a wooden chair. 100 years ago, it was a tree. Everything changes. Allow things to change. We have come a long way from then. And if you educated yourself, you would know that. Instead of riling yourself up. It's so sad. Exactly. Like he was like, birth of a nation. He said, he was talking about glory. Did you know Denzel Washington's feet don't look like that? Did you know that? Did you know Denzel Washington's feet didn't hurt when he did that scene? They didn't hurt. It's called acting based on a true story. But this nigga watching the movies and pissing himself off. Oops, Ika. Okay. I saw Amistad. Me and my sister and two of our friends at the time who were guys, right? So two Black guy friends. We were, Amistad came out when I was in middle school. So we were in middle school. And the four of us go to see this movie. And one of my my black guy, friend at the time, I'm telling y'all right now, this is how indoctrinated I was, right? I was watching that movie. I didn't connect to anything that was happening. I was in middle school, and I was like, yeah, I heard about that happening, but, I'm in school. My friends are generally nice to me. Teachers are generally nice. I didn't know how to articulate racism in middle school, right? So I didn't connect at all to the movie. I thought it was a great movie. I was like, oh, wow. And, my black guy friend that was next to me, we're all in middle school, right? He runs out of the movie theater, and his brother went after him. And later, they told us that he just got so angry during the whipping scenes, right? And I know now how that felt, because when I saw 12 Years a Slave, I felt like I was going to throw up with some of the scenes. And after the movie was over, I went in the bathroom and sobbed. Don't let people call you the N-word. Don't let people mock and make light of Black history. Don't do it. And I don't care who it is, black or white. Stop it. Let's all respect each other. Absolutely. They find it very hard. That's that escapism. I've talked to people who've been like, that's not true, and I'm like, it is true. It's statistically true. And these dudes, I had a dude I was talking to, this was several years ago. This black guy, he ran out of the restaurant when I was talking to him about race and racism. He ran out of the restaurant. He didn't want to hear it, right? And I thought that was crazy, because I'm like, this is reality, bruh. They don't want to face reality. That's why they sitting up there at the 50-yard line, the 22 yards. Oh, they can tell you every stat, every statistic, every rap lyric, right? This battle rapper, this underground rapper, he dropped that LP in 1984 and blah, blah. But you haven't read Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. What's going on? And you try to have a conversation with me? Fuck out of here. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. It was very unstable. And that's what happens when you don't lead a stable life, right? You snap. Yeah. Talking about these people, like, don't stop using his legacy to justify why you won't rise to the occasion. Just stop. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. Yo, that's like 6-7 films. He can tell you every film out there. But when it comes to facts, he got to look in Wikipedia. Come on, you're looking at the wrong stuff. You're focusing on the wrong stuff. He was so proud to say that he'd never been with a white woman, but he was like, white women elevate black men, white men elevate white women, but white men cannot elevate black women. Black couples, basically, it sounded like he was, saying black couples are just out there in the wind. right? I mean, he was like, oh, you know, people look up at Idris Elba because he dated a black woman, but he was doing everything he can to be like, you know what, like Black American women are at the bottom. That's what he like wanted to say, you know? And it just seemed like nothing could make, you know, he was like, I've never been with a white woman, but he was like, athletes are with white women. It elevates them and stars and black men with money and because it makes them look good. Like, you know, it was like, so why haven't you been with a white woman? Because it sounds like the only reason you haven't been with one is because you haven't been able to get one at this point. I think he even mentioned some point in there that he like wanted black women that would be like, I got me a white boy. I've never heard a black woman say that in my life. I've never heard a black woman say that. I got me a white boy. That's ish that y'all say. And again, they love to say, you know, black women are being fetishized, but please like the video if you're in the room and subscribe. Please, if you're new, if you're coming back from yesterday and you didn't subscribe then, please subscribe. Okay, I do it all. I cam up too. All right, this is just not something that I'm going to do that for. Okay, so yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Mm, mm. Yes. Yes, it's absolutely true. You know, the wave cap glued to the heads. We want to talk about some, take that off your head. I'll take the wig off when you take off the wave cap. You first. No wave cap challenge. For life. For life. For life. No wave cap challenge. Y'all sit up there manipulating y'all hair for decades, but have the nerve to talk about the hair on black women's head? Mm. Right. It's like, don't be mad if you live with your moms. You know, it is what it is. Just get on your feet. A relationship should be the last thing on your mind. If you can't offer somebody something, what can you do? Don't nobody want to be up in your mama's house? Mm. Mm. You know what? I don't think them being seen as threatening is the problem. For me, it's the lack of power, period. I think that they understand how they have neutralized a lot of black men. You know, there's a lot of black men that date white women that understand you're not going to talk to or treat this white woman the way you would your women, because we'll throw your ass in jail. You know what I'm saying? And so they're not scared of them when they're throwing them in jail, when they're over policing their neighborhoods. They're not scared of them. That's the narrative. They're not scared of them. That's what they use to justify their power over them. And there's nothing that they can do about it because they don't have the equal power. They don't have the equal media power. They don't have the equal political power. They don't have the equal socioeconomic power. So these people that have a lot more can say anything. And unless you are coming from Asia and countries that care about you, right? What can you really do? Right? Nobody respects Black life. Everyone's got a reason why. You know, the hospitals are dangerous for us. Cops are dangerous for the men. Women too, shit. School system, the foster care system. You need power to compete. That was one of the reasons why the NOI, right? They wear the suits and tie, or the suit and bow tie all the time, right? And I believe they still do it to this day. But the love of movies and the love of media and the love of hippity hip hop, like I said, baby, I love it too. But I'm not going around like getting tattooed up and spending money on frontals that I don't have and breaking my knees trying to twerk. That's not me, baby. But I'll enjoy it, you know. I'll cheer for you. But then when that stuff happens, you got people that are like, twerking for their life. And I'm telling you, if you look at the history of America, gangster culture started with Italian and Irish Americans, with the mafia, with the mobsters. Lucky Luciano was an Italian mobster. He also just happens to be the name of a rapper today. Do y'all get it? And I had so many people be like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. What do you mean it's not true? Y'all didn't have mobster gangster culture like that. This is a melting pot. You've been influenced and you've been indoctrinated. Does that mean that we didn't create hip hop? No, of course we created hip hop. Of course we did. But it doesn't have to be directly linked to gangsta-ish. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be that. 24/7 and everything looking hard and being hard. And they're talking about something. Why the women so hard? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Damn. Right. They was the first ones wearing those high heels, those platform heels. Men in general were wearing those heels before women, you know, and rock and roll. And we know black people made rock and roll. So, I mean, come on. We made rock and roll. We're not walking around. Yeah. We're not walking around being like, he's totally awesome, dude. Like, why we don't do that? Y'all fell in love with the hip hop side. I get it. But we do it all, baby. We do it all. Don't put yourself in a box. And thank you. That doesn't, you know what I'm saying? They're not afraid. They're not afraid. They're lying. They're manipulating. They're gaslighting. They're oppressing. Okay? And you're supposed to fight back against that. You're not supposed to nest in their women's communities. You're not supposed to tell black people that talk about these issues to be quiet. You know how many black people told me to be quiet, but they want to be like, are you in an interracial relationship? Oh, I don't hear y'all talking about it. I sat back and watched. Nobody stepped up and was doing it. You can look back at my channel. I have dozens of videos about post-traumatic slave syndrome, about Black history, things like that, breaking down these issues. It didn't stop because everybody was like, you ain't a white thing. I don't care what you'll have to say. I'm going to have to raise my children. I have family. I have myself. I have pride. I'm not going to walk around not knowing who I am because I spent 4 hours watching live streams and taking historical facts from what people say in live streams. Come on. You gotta rise up. When you're living on your knees, you rise up. When are these colonies gonna rise up? Come on! Rise up. You gotta get higher. You gotta elevate higher. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And then they project that onto the women, right? When the reality is, as I've told you guys, even though, yeah, I grew up in the hood, I went to PWIs my whole life on scholarship. Okay? So that's where I spent most of my time. And it's just proximity. There's not as many black guys at PWIs. And guess who they want to date? And guess who they want to be with? Yeah, it's a lot of black couples, you know, but suburban black guys are very classist and elitist. I'm sorry, suburban black guys. I'm sorry. Okay, I heart you guys. You guys, you know, you guys have two parents. All right. You had a dad. You have two parents. But they're very classist and elitist, you know. And, you know, I grew up in foster care. And these black guys were thinking about that when they were trying to get me to sleep with them, but they didn't want to do anything else. Well, you're not going to get nothing else. Baby, listen. I need you to be looking at a ring after the first date. All right? Period. You know, I can't give you much access without that ring. Okay? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They understand how powerful you are and how much potential you have. Let me tell you something. I told you guys, I grew up during the crack cocaine epidemic, didn't have breakfast, didn't have proper school shoes, right? You had to wear black Mary Janes with the school uniform. And I was wearing sneakers because we didn't have the money. My great grandmother bought me my first pair of black Mary Janes because nobody in my house never had nothing. The end, right? And I went to school, kindergarten through grad school. I've always excelled over other people. I'm just keeping it real. All right, I'm not saying I was the smartest person in the room, but I excelled. You understand? I was put into leadership positions. I was put into networking positions. I was called upon to lead and to do things by administration. And you know what I'm saying? I got a lot of opportunities that other kids didn't get because I worked my ass off. And I had these kids and these PWIs, these wealthy white and black kids, and in between, you know, hating on me when they didn't know what I was going through. I was a kid. I didn't tell anybody what I was going through. But the bottom line is, with nothing, we can make something, baby. A rose grew from the concrete, motherfuckers. What's up? And I was sitting in class in grad school, and we were having a conversation about poor people. And some of the ignorant people in there were saying, poor people want to be poor. That's why they're poor. They don't want to work for anything. Yeah. And I raised my hand and I said, I grew up poor. This was the first time I said anything about who I was because it's none of your business. I said, I grew up poor. And at the time, I was doing better than everybody there in school, point blank, period. I said, I grew up poor. And look what's up. I'm sitting across from y'all. So it's a lot of classism. They don't want to deal with this shit. They want to leave it to the women to deal with. That's what I think. That's what I think. They want to leave it to the women to deal with. And we've been having to deal with it. People telling us we're not beautiful. We're the fucking most beautiful people on the planet. Fuck. I've told you guys before in my pretty privilege video. Check that out if you haven't checked it out yet. I grew up thinking that I was just, you know, people told me all the time, like, you're ugly, you're nothing, right? It wasn't until I went to college that people were like, you're pretty for a black girl, right? They could never be like, you're pretty, right? You're pretty for a black girl, right? And that was the first time I heard it. Because everyone around me was like, you're not light-skinned. And you know what I thought when people were saying that to me? I thought, hey, I like myself. So if you guys don't like it, oh, well. That's really what I thought. And then when people were like, oh, like, you're pretty. I was like, what? Go on. Okay, that's, you know, it's very nice. Okay, period. I think what happened was, and like I said, you guys, I divested as a child, having to raise my deadbeat bio dad's kids, having to find them dinner, having to make sure they got up for school. I did that. He owes me everything. I've told y'all before, I called my deadbeat bio dad up and I cussed his ass the fuck out. I'm not here for that shit. A lot of people is online yelling and screaming and cussing and sad and mad and crying and because they don't have the courage to call out their deadbeat daddies. Let me tell you something. I said to myself, I'm not going to let him leave this earth without him knowing he's a failure. I want him to understand I am successful in spite of being your daughter, not because of it. And I'm not your daughter, bruh. Don't tell nobody you related to me, because that is a lie. And I will hit you with a cease and desist. Cease and desist. Okay? God is my father. That's point blank, period. Anyways, I called my deadbeat daddy and I told him, I'm not my mama, nigga. Oops. Shit. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, I'm not my mama. So I don't know what kind of conversation, and I'm not my sisters, and I don't know what kind of conversation you thought you was going to have, but I'm about to cuss your ass the fuck out. That's what I'm here for. Not breaking bread with you, bruh. You fucking deadbeat. You'll never break bread. You'll never be in my home. You'll never be around my kids. You got to hold them accountable. He should have been exiled from the family. No one should have talked to him ever again. That's how you treat deadbeats. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. They're exiled. Exactly. All I knew was white people. I spent all my time with them. Like, yes, when I was in the hood, you know, I told you guys about going to movies with my friends. We were all from the hood, right? Funny enough, yes, the guy that ran out of the movie theater had a crush on me. He did. But guess what? I was 14. And my mother, before she passed, asked me not to date before I was 16. And I actually didn't date until I was 22. But that's another story. Okay? I'm very disciplined. I don't need to be around no dudes. All right? At all. Okay? So, you know, I've talked about those guys before because they were really good friends, you know, and I hope they're doing well wherever they are. They were just so funny. We would always crack jokes, you know. And I was sad, I'll be honest, because you guys like to hit on women, but they have a right to grow up. And I was like, you know, I thought it would be like a black Joey and Pacey, right? And I was like, and then he'll wait, you know, maybe he'll wait and like respect that I made this decision, right? And he was like, F you, B, right? And I was like, y'all couldn't do it. Y'all couldn't do it. Y'all couldn't be Pacey, okay? The entitlement. But yeah, that's what happened when I was 14, Okay. Yeah, you know, you know, it's tough. But I don't even know what this dude looks like. I don't know how old he looks, or you know what I'm saying. All I know is he failed his wife and children, and to me, you're an enemy for that. You know. All right, moving on. So basically, that's it with the Julius thing. I've just pointed out that the guy, you know what I'm saying, like, he's got to get a hobby. He's got to build something. If he focused on building, he wouldn't be focused on what other men are doing in their relationships. We can't deny what racism has done to Black people, but it did it to all of us. And I know it's hard to be a man. I know it is. But what you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't coddle all y'all. What you want me to do? Y'all, a lot of y'all got mamas. Ask her about that. That's what I'm talking about. Like, have conversations with your parents. Hold these people accountable. Because you're mad at the wrong people. You're mad at the wrong people. That's why I told my siblings, I wish a motherfucker would. My siblings came to my channel being disrespectful. Like I told them, if they do it again, I will drop a series of videos telling everyone everything about my fucking life, including all their stories as well. And it is what the fuck it is, because I'm not going to be intimidated. If people want to go there, we can go there. You blaming the wrong people. You mad at the wrong people. You called your daddy and was like, okay. Can I ask you a question now? Can I ask you? I ain't doing all that. What's up? What's up? I don't owe that nigga nothing. I don't owe him an I owe him my vitriol. Should have took care of my mama, fool. And your damn kids. So I didn't have to. So I could have a childhood. Right? And after I cussed him out, y'all, a weight shifted within me. I swear to God, I recommend every Black person that has a deadbeat parent, call him and cuss him out. I recommend. Highly recommend. Yes, a weight shifted. He couldn't handle it. And I was like, this fool is pathetic. He can't handle this. And I'll let him know under no uncertain terms. If I become a millionaire, you're not getting anything. All right? I got to take care of me and mine. Something you never did. You're not getting a damn thing, bro. Ever. Don't ever ask me for shit. But you got to let the people who've hurt you know. And that's why people are walking around here unstable, yelling and crying and screaming. I told y'all, I don't talk to men that, you know, I've had some family members do that a couple of times, raise their voice at me. I'm like, you got one more chance. And I will respond with the law. Okay? You're not going to talk to me in no kind of way, because I take that as aggression. He's sitting up there, Emmett Till! Like, what are you doing? Don't play with me. Who are you talking to? Hey, save it for your moms. Don't play with me. Is that a threat? It's very scary that people are out here talking to people like this, thinking that they could talk to people like this. You know, and he's angry and he's upset because he feels that power imbalance. He feels the inequality. He feels the inequity, but he doesn't know what to do about it. So he told himself, I'm going to hate Black women who don't date black men. That's what I'll do with that. No. You got to do something else with that. That's not going to feed your soul. Who will save your soul? Right, start off. Those are the scariest ones when they start off civilized. And let me tell you something. I've seen white men do this, men of all races, ethnicities. I've seen do this. Okay? Because one, it's very hard for men when they get emotional, right? They usually shut down. So that's why, and I understand that, right? I understand. I'm like, okay, well, they shut down. But there's an anger boiling over that's making these dudes yell and scream and lash out. And, hey, you got to control yourself, bruh. You're a man. It is what it is. Men have to control themselves. That's the power and authority you've been given as a man. And again, it goes back to their misconception of masculinity, right? For them, masculinity is being mean and being abrasive and being rough, violence, right? I have a very loud voice. I've told you guys, I'm an actor. I'm a stage actor. I spend a lot of my time in a classroom or on stage. I have to speak loudly. So I have a loud voice, right? But you'll get guys being like, "Oh, you so loud, manly. That's masculine." And I'm like, I speak loud. How is that masculine? Just they started just calling anything negative they don't like about black women masculine, And it's like, you guys have a very negative opinion about masculinity. Masculinity is stoicism. Masculinity is control. Masculinity is building. They don't want to do that part. So, in terms of the word itself, right, and this Mr. E saying it was out of line. It was out of line. He's out of line, And I was in the clubhouse where they had a conversation about it after the fact. So I didn't hear what happened, but I heard a lot of the conversation after the fact. Okay. And, there was a lot of, black men have given other people permission to say this word conversation happening about it. And that's true. But he was wrong. Julius was wrong. And Mr. E was wrong. They were both wrong. A million things he could have responded. And, again, there is no other racial slur that people can just flow so easily off of people's tongues the way that they say the N-word. He's got to be held accountable for that. And definitely, the pink pill as a woman that is, leading a lot of other women, she has to be mindful of who she has around her. And she said in the clubhouse room, she told him, she said, she let him have it. I'll be honest. Again, before she let him have it, I heard a conversation about, well, let's talk about how, black men have allowed this. Okay, yeah. But y'all already know how a lot of these clowns be acting, right? This is someone that we expected better from, right? And it's an insult to our history and to our ancestors. For anyone to use that word. And I believe it hard ER. It's insulting when people use it, period. Black, white, I don't care. It's so insulting. It's just so insulting. So there was a conversation like, okay, like, yeah, they say the word all the time. They use the word all the time. And again, you know, people want to talk about why we don't have an anti-hate crime bill. How are they going to say that the N-word is a racial slur and using that against Black people is a hate crime when y'all use it all the time on social media and on Twitter and YouTube and the internet? How could they declare it? Because they're going to say, well, the person would just say, well, they said it first. You know what I'm saying? Let's get that vocabulary word out of here. Shouldn't be on anyone's tongue. So Julius and people like him that use that word are completely in the wrong. Mr. E was in the wrong for responding back like that. And a lot of people were like, he was having his woman's back. Look. All right. Nobody should be using that word. And I know, you know, everybody knows Black men have allowed non-Black women to use that word. Everybody knows that. In fact, Black men that date and sleep with non-Black women encourage them to use that word. They encourage them to blackfish and to mimic Black women because they want Black women that are white. That's why men like that. They want Black women, of course, because like who doesn't, right? But they want them to be white, right? And a lot of them will say, I like my white girls Black and my Black girls white. So it's like, so you don't like Black women. You like your white girls to act Black and your Black girls to act white. So you don't like Black women. Let me tell you something. It sounded like he had a wine or two. Okay. And, you know, he's from Canada. I don't make excuses for nobody when it comes to it. My husband, look, I'm very strict. It is what it is. My husband has marched with me, protested with me, sat on anti-racism panels with me. He drives me to Harlem to the Malcolm Shabazz, you know, outdoor market that they have there. You know, he knows how much I care about buying Black. So he'll buy Black for me. You know what I'm saying? So, but they just got together. My husband is American, right? This guy is Canadian. I understand. And then also he's in this space, and the space is ratchet. The space is ratchet. You know what I'm saying? CH is ratchet. It has a lot of, you know, ratchet conversations. But I don't give him any passes. He just needed to apologize profusely and never do it again. And yes, you're trying to defend your woman, but there's other ways that could have and should have been done. Pink Pill herself acknowledges, right? She said to Mr. E in that chat, she said, you know, I've worked hard, right? 10 plus years doing this. And I can't just allow some guy to come in and ruin that. She said that to him. She was like, and so if I got to choose between, you know, you and what I've worked for, best believe it. She said, I can get another you. Yes, she did. She did say that to him. I was like, damn. What a conversation. What a conversation. Wow. And again, you know, it goes back to, for me, boundaries, right? He doesn't really need to be in the same spaces that you're in just because you guys are in a relationship together, right? Exactly. I like a stoic feller. I mean, again, I'm not forgetting it. I've mentioned it probably a dozen times at this point that he used the word and it's wrong to use. And that, you know, it's not, I don't see it as reclaiming it. I don't think it was a, you know, I think it's foul as hell. I think it's disgusting. Just like I think calling women a B wench, I think, or bed W, whatever you want to call it. I think it's disgusting to use these words that were used to describe horrific experiences of our people and our culture, to use these words so flippantly as if they mean nothing. All right. And I just spent like 10 minutes saying Black men need to be held accountable for how they allow and encourage other people to say the N-word, period. So that needs to happen. And in general, nobody needs to be saying the word, period. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, again, it goes back to not knowing your history, not knowing the brutality behind that word, the sacrifices that were made so that these people couldn't call you that. And then for you people to throw it around like it's nothing, you know? I think it's abhorrible, abhorrent, okay? How Black people treat Black women in interracial relationships. I'm in one, so I know. It is abhorrent. You guys can see, I'll sit up here. I've never changed. Like I said, I have dozens of videos. You can see I've been talking about race. I've been talking about Black empowerment. I've been talking about reparations. I've been talking about these things. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, all of that. I've talked about these things for years. Nobody's been interested, okay? But those are the things that help me to feel whole, right? To know myself and to know my history. And Black people aren't doing that work. It's too much escapism. It's too much excuses. I can't tell you how many times I've had family members tell me, oh, I just want to have fun. We're just trying to have fun. What are you talking about? This is not an amusement park. This is life. You want to have fun, but then you want to complain about how it's not fun. It's not all easy. You want to complain about racism, but you don't want to do anything about it. So who's supposed to do something about it? The 5 people that y'all have appointed, and they got to do all the work. Y'all didn't learn from Malcolm and Martin that was a bad idea, that everyone's got to do the work. It's too many excuses. Like I said, I'm very uncomfortable with how preoccupied he expressed he is about relationships like mine. That's very disturbing to me. And I don't wish it on me, and I don't wish it on anyone else that's in these relationships. You know what I'm saying? But I'm holding everybody accountable because you can't go anywhere without it. And again, people in interracial relationships have to do the work, which is, you know, I don't think Black men and white women interracial relationship couples, who are the majority of these couples, will ever do any work about changing, you know, about increasing Black progress, right? I don't think they're going to do any work. I don't. I think they think that them bumping uglies in the night is revolutionary. They really think they're doing something, you know? And look, all their kids are in the NBA. So absolutely. Absolutely, Jewel. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, people are trying to find some type of power. Again, what I saw in Julius was a man who understands the immense inequality and inequity that he faces in this society, but he doesn't know what to do with it from there. He doesn't know where to go from there, right? And you got to make a plan for yourself. Hating other people is not going to empower you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had to deal with it my whole life, you know. Everyone in my family has dated interracially, but when I did it, it was a problem. Because if you do it, you better do it like this, right? I'm not doing nothing nobody that don't pay my bills tells me I need to do. It's not gonna happen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. They have a double standard. The hypocrisy is weird. It's odd. It's disgusting. It's scary. You know, the reason I feel men should take more responsibility with that is because you're a man. And, you know, they're always like, what can I do? What a woman can do. So you want to be a woman? I mean, it's just that simple. If you want to be a woman, then go ahead and do it. But if you want to be a man, then baby, man up. Yeah, it's hard to be a man. That's why y'all get so many privileges. Fuck. You get to pee standing up. Right? What more do you want? God damn. You ever had to pee in the woods and you got to squat? All right. All right. Welcome, Queen Cascade. I hope you stay a while. Everyone that's here, please like the video and subscribe and show your support. And then if you guys like videos in this style where I talk more about YouTube topics, because again, that's not something that I usually do, but I decided, hey, why not? I'm a YouTuber, baby. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will do more videos like this. That and it's too scary. It's too scary to think of, you know, because I think of being around guys that came off like him to me, you know, and I'm like, did I put myself in danger being around you because you have some vile hatred because I'm not doing what you say when you don't pay my bills? That's weird. Can you pay my bills? They can't pay your telephone bills. They can't pay your automobiles, but they want to tell you how you can chill. They don't make sense. They don't add up. Yep. Absolutely. I agree with you, Jewel. Other people don't allow people to, you know, make fun of their image and just treat them like a second-class citizen and shit. You're not going to treat me as less than. And I've had to tell Black men in my life who dated out, if you don't feel you can give this woman anything besides uplifting her around me, then go ahead and tell her you can't give her anything. Because you're not going to be putting her on a pedestal around me. And I don't know what else to tell you. I'm going to talk about racism. I'm going to talk about what interracial couples need to do. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. I'm not going to go light on Becky. It's not going to happen. Becky can get it too. My husband, you think my husband, everything I'm saying to y'all, my husband has heard. But he can get it, but she can't? Nah, I ain't going down like that. But see, this nigga wanted to lay the law on me. You can't lay the law on me. You don't pay my bills. So that he can flex and prove something to her. You're not putting me down so you can prove to this that you got something going on. If you can't prove it no other way, then go back and tell her you can't prove it. Let her know. But they want to flex on you so they can be like, you see the power I have to tell them that they ugly and you the best, you the prettiest. Get the out of here with that. Nobody's trying to hear that. My husband says black women are the most feminine women he's ever seen. What are you talking about? We don't have to try. Are you kidding me? I've made dinner in high heels. I've made dinner in 8-inch heels. What are you talking about? I remember one time I had got lash extensions, and I was telling a black guy who dates out, and he was like, I can see them. They look kind of fake because I can see. Bro, you mad because you couldn't get them for your girl? Hater. Haters gonna hate. Lovers gonna love. I don't even want none of the above. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Haters gonna hate. Yep. It's the same everywhere. You know, they let living in these circumstances defeat them. They allow it to defeat them. And then they want to come to you and be like, no, I'm not defeated because I'm telling you you're ugly and you're nothing. Look at the power I have. You ain't got no power. That's not power, baby. That's not power. Dating a white girl, that's not power. Power is in protecting your women and children. That's why white men are so proud of the way that their women behave. The way that their women are so highly protected, right? The way they can get away with a lot of things other women can't get away with. They're proud of that because it shows how much power the men have. Now, the men know, hey, I'm a man. I can't act like that. So they allow their women to behave how a lot of Karens behave. It's not all, I don't do alls here, but, I generalize within reason. Exactly. I'm never going to get down with this, like, put the man first-ish. I'm not. It's the women and children that come first. As a woman, I put the children first. As a woman, I put the children first. As a man, you're supposed to say women and children. And that's what every group does that thrives. Welcome, Jules. Welcome. And you know what? Thank you so much for coming and commenting and bringing your perspective. I really appreciate it. You guys rock. Once again, this has been a really cool chat. And please like and subscribe. And thank you for joining me. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I'm just trying to, keep it real with DanieSteel, baby. Oh my God, he went berserk. He was like, you talking to him? In the bottom of the I was like, whoa, what is going on? And I think he's watching movies and reading things, just constantly filling his head with, it's like you can learn history, but to make yourself angry and not have a outlet of positivity to channel that energy, that's scary, and you're only hurting yourself. Channel that energy into building something, learning something new, become a state representative, run for office, start your own little organization, right? I just got to figure out how to do that. I don't know how to do it. And I wish someone that knew how to do it would tell me, because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to like watch a tutorial to like figure out how to invite people into the chat. Invite. Oh wow, look at that. All right, well, this is what it sent me. If it works and you want to join, go ahead. I'll give it a try. I've never done it before. But if you're interested and you want to join, go ahead and click it. If not, I'm going to wrap her up. You're right. Get therapy. Right. It's a lot of people that are in need of therapy, trying to run shit. You know what I'm saying? And I've told you guys, I've been working with my therapist for the past year. And I like her. And I've had therapy, you know, on and off throughout my life. And it's the only way that I've been able to, you know, unpack a lot of things that have happened to me and really get on a journey of healing. And accountability was a large part of that. I had to look at all of the ways that I wasn't honoring myself, right? And I had to look at all the ways that I might be offending people or I might be hurting people. I had to look at that. And me and my husband have been doing a lot of just being accountable, you know, so that we can be better partners to each other. So I love it. I love accountability. I love working on yourself and growing. I think it's great. But, you know, even my husband will say, like, I don't really feel comfortable looking inward, you know, so a lot of people don't feel comfortable looking inward. For me, it was terrifying at first, but now I find it fascinating, you know? So hopefully more people will start feeling that way about therapy and try to get some help. Because I think you could get it for free too if you go to a hospital and you ask them to connect you with a free therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of ways that you can get that. Therapy is going all right for me, you know. Like I said, I'm working a lot on accountability of myself. So, you know, I recognize ways that I need to improve and grow every session. And throughout the week, I will pay attention to how I move and what I do. And then I'll go back and talk about it with my therapist. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good for everyone. I highly recommend it. All right. Well, you know what? I dropped the link. And now all the trolls that be here, everybody that want to come on, nobody came on. But now at least I know how to drop the link. So that's great. Next time I shall drop a link. I think this was good. It's a good talk. You know, I think that the pink pill will be just fine. She's a very perseverant person, you know, and she's very passionate about what she does. So I have no doubt that she'll be back and she'll be stronger than ever. I have no doubt about that, you know. I'm not going to place what two grown men say and behave and how they do on a woman that didn't have any control in that exchange. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, I think that everything will be fine. This is just one of these YouTube hiccups. It happens. Or social media hiccups or whatever, you know. And you know, if they stay together, it sounds like, you know, she corrected him, but I think they're still together. And you know, they definitely will need to talk about, you know, how they interact. If oh wow, there's somebody here. Okay, great. Wow, look at this. Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Queen Cascade. Beautiful. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Danie.
Yeah, well, please.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
So yeah, please share with us what you think about all this.
To be honest, I've come in at a point where you were talking about the end of the conversation that Pink Pill was having with Mr.E. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch, you know, the previous amount that I missed.
Sure.
So I apologize if I'm repeating anything that you said. I watched the live this morning, early this morning, probably would have been late last night for you guys. I'm in the UK.
Oh.
And I've had an epiphany over the past how long with the different things that have sort of like taken place here in the UK, but also the different things that I'm seeing around the world. And I feel like we've got similar issues. And last night for me, it continued to show the logic that a good portion of our Black men have within the community in regards to this competitiveness. What stood out for me was the way that he said that he'd come into the room with Clubhouse. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, so I apologize.
No,
and I'm dyslexic, so sometimes my words sometimes get mixed up.
Sure.
The way that he came into the room, he didn't fully know what was going on.
Right.
And triggered straight away and projected onto the situation.
Yeah.
He also said about the fact that he's doing it to protect sisters, and that's how he deal with his sisters.
Yeah.
Concerning for me, because you've just come into this room where you're listening to people, you're listening to a question. You've heard this gentleman hesitate. You can't see his face. You can't see his body language. I don't use Clubhouse. I don't, you know what I mean? As far as I'm aware, it's audio.
Right.
So you haven't given this man a chance to answer the question, but you've assumed from his hesitation that he's about to lie. Now, he hesitated during the live when Tanya was asking him questions. So it's okay for you to hesitate and take the time to think about it. But other people, Mr. E is not allowed to sit back and actually process the question that he's been asked.
Right.
And look at the scenario he was given and how he would deal with it. So it shows a lack of maturity for me. It shows that he's very triggered. He said himself, he you know, he has an emotional reaction when he sees a Black woman with a white man, but he doesn't have the same sort of heat because it's socially acceptable for Black men to date white women. He doesn't give his cousins and the other people in his circle the same kind of emotion.
Right.
What concerns me also is you don't know, not you, but in terms of Julian. Yes, you don't know this woman. You don't know this man. You've just walked into this situation. You don't know what their relationship is. You haven't asked any questions in regards to their relationship as it stands to get a better understanding of where this man is coming from.
Right.
Why they're dating, how long they've been in a relationship. He didn't even know whether, you know, for all he knew, they could have been married or whatever. He didn't know anything. But this was your automatic reaction. This was your projection. This was his trigger.
Right.
He personally, to me, in terms of Julius, because I don't know if since what's taken place, if Mr. E's come out and said anything about why he said what he said and why he reacted the way that he reacted. So I'm opening to hearing his side, although I don't agree with how he handled the situation.
Right.
In regards to Julius and Black men within the wider community, understand something. In terms of Julius's behavior, he is saying that he did it to one up for the team.
Right.
But you're not thinking about that young woman's needs.
Yep.
Why she's there, how she's there, how they came to be in a relationship. You're making an assumption based on history. And yes, history is very important. But at the same time, you're taking historical context and choosing the parts to fit your argument.
Yes.
Personally, for me, I'm in a situation, well, not in a situation, the circumstances where, you know, I see what's going on around me within our community. The community as it stands is, like you were saying, it's Black women and children dealing with the situations and circumstances that we have in today's society. Black men are not standing behind us when it comes to protesting, when it comes to petitions. Some of you are, for those that are watching, some men are. But in comparison to the Black women that are on BLM or on the front lines or trying to change policies,
right,
that's where we need your support and your your encouragement, you guys being there in those capacities. Listen to some of Cynthia's and Tanya TKO's lives. And they've showed statistics to do with, you know, marriage between Black men, white women, and the defaultness that's going on in our community and the pathologies, which I appreciate because it's something that I've known for a long time. But now we're in an era where we're getting the statistical evidence to back up the things that we are seeing. With Julius, he made a comment towards the end about the fact of and the gaslighting of, you know, Black women need to, what did he say? Black women need to basically stay by themselves if they can't get a Black man, was how I perceived it. Now, if we understand that there are double the amount of Black women in comparison to Black men, it's unfair to ask those that are, so say for instance, sorry, in my train of thought, we know that we've got young men and men in general in prison. We know that there are men that are a part of the LGBT community. We know that there are men that want to go their own way. They've gone their own way, and we as women have picked up the slack, and we're getting on and doing what we need to do without you. And now you have an issue because we've gone in a different direction. But you're supposed to go your direction. So why is it okay for you guys to do it, but it's not okay for us?
Exactly.
To me, there's a dysfunction in this competitiveness for you guys wanting to take up a white man's daughter and get the spare keys to whiteness and white privilege. Their daughters, and you think that these white men are not aware of it. They're aware of it. That's why they don't want you dating and marrying their daughters. For me, it's also showing that when it comes to Black women, it's okay for you guys to do it. It's good enough for you guys to do it. But where I see is a subconsciousness that I don't think some of the men are aware, that you're threatened by the fact that a Black woman dating interracially or a white man puts her in closer proximity than they will be because you're going for a white man's seed, his daughter. Whereas a Black woman or a woman of color would be going with, you know, the man that she's dating or in a relationship or is her husband is direct. Do you get what I mean? You're trying to run up white men by going after their daughters. But hold on a second, when it was happening to us as a Black community and racism and prejudice, we didn't like it. but you're out there doing the same thing that you don't want other people doing to you. So this logic to me is just dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm.
And it continues to show me that as a community, with the fact that everybody likes to jump on civil rights, and we know about what happened with Loving versus Virginia, and the amendments that have been taken place, and the 4 times that Black men have fought for that right. But what have you been doing in our community since to stand behind us as Black women and perpetuate us forward as a community? You guys
There's been a lot of they took out Malcolm and Martin, and then everybody said, okay, well, it looks like when you stand up, they take you out. I mean, it took out a lot of Black male leaders. They took out some Black women leaders too. And these men said, you know what? The cost is too high. That's what they decided. The cost is too high. It's your life, right? And no one ever stepped up again that was willing to lay down their life for their freedom, because that's what it is. You know, I remember Bree Newsom climbed the flag, and they don't like Bree Newsom either. I'm like, why you don't like her? She climbed up brought down the Confederate flag in South Carolina, I believe. And I was saying when this happened, I said it should have been a man. It should have been. It's a shame that it had to be a Black woman, because she could. Who knows how much danger she was in doing that? All these white men sitting down there circling around it like sharks. And you know, a Black man responded to me. He said, "Well, a Black man could have died. So could the woman." What are y'all talking about? They're very preoccupied and understand about their lives and the dangers their lives are in. So much so that you don't give up about the lives of your women and children?
Okay. That's what I don't agree with. It's okay for you to protect your lives, but you expect us as women, as Black women, to put our lives on the line for you. And we've got children. We are trying to educate the next generation. How are we supposed to do that dead, maimed, disabled, fighting for you guys who claim to be strong, who claim to be the fittest of the fittest, but you're not taking that strength and uniting as a full male group, Black group of males. You expect us to do it. I'm not cool with this. You want to put us on the shelf. So when it doesn't work out with the white privilege or trying to get whatever it is that you're trying to get from white women in terms of whiteness or your approximation to whiteness, you want us on the shelf so that you can take us off when it suits you. No, that's not cool. I'm entitled to live my life. If you guys or you men or Black men really love us, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And the fact is, us as Black women that marry interracially, and I'm not married, I'm not in an interracial relationship. I'm open to it because I understand what's going on. I was born into a pro-Black family. Do you get what I mean? And over a certain period of years, over the last how many years, I've had to go into counseling and look at my different ways of thinking of things and look at my experiences and why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But there's a lot of Black men that need to be in therapy, need to be in counseling, sorting out themselves, because why is it okay for you to use a white woman or any woman or Black women to further your agenda? Are you going to do that to your mom, your sister, your aunt, your grandmother? Is it okay for them?
Yep, exactly. And, you know, it's always like, oh, because I care, or I see you like a sister. Nothing about that was brother or sisterly. Nothing about that was in love, in protection. You don't degrade someone and say I did it to protect you. You know?
The other thing is, have you spoken to us as Black women and asked about the way that we would like to be protected?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The way that he was going off last night, it's like, what purpose did it serve? So you one-upped for the team and tried to destroy a relationship in the process so that the team can look good?
Right. Well, what's the team? What's the team? That's the real question. Who's on the team? Who's on the team? Because it looks like it's just a bunch of dusties. That's what, you know what I'm saying? Come on. Ain't no women on the team, ain't no children on the team. A bunch of dusties and their white counterparts. Come on. They'll bring them up on the team before they allow a Black woman to be. I've told this on my channel before. You know, at my brother's wedding, he got married to a white woman. I was the only family member not invited to be a part of the wedding.
Okay.
Sat in the audience, you know, because he said, like, I don't need you to be a part of my wedding, right? I want you there, though. You have to be there so it doesn't look like I have issues with family. So you gotta be there, but you don't get to be a part of the family, you know? Like, everyone was a part of the wedding, and then they had to call me in from the audience to come take pictures, like, with the family. You know what I'm saying? They go out of their way. They go out of their way to tell Black women, you're not a part, and you don't matter. You're not as important. You know, I can tell you how many times I've had Black male relatives of mine say, well, something could happen to me. Something could happen to me. That doesn't matter. You're not thinking about the women and the children. And it's because they've told themselves they've created a culture, they've created an atmosphere amongst one another where this is acceptable. And they have a lot of women who are male identified and worshiping, who will coddle that, you know, and any woman that doesn't, you're out of here. You know, I was essentially ostracized because I refused to take part in this dysfunction. You know, if I come by and I'm family, you want to treat me the same way everybody else is being treated. You're not going to be treating me different and acting funny and then telling me, gaslighting me and telling me I'm seeing things. You know what I'm saying? And so, and a lot of that also was me saying, hey, you guys have to be accountable. You guys have to step up as men. Telling my male family members this, they didn't want to hear it. Men, they don't want to hear it. They, you know, again, the clearest example of this for me is if you watch basketball or football. I mean, they just go on for hours talking about it. And it's like, why are you talking about this? This is nothing to do with your life. You need to be talking about building. You need to be talking about politics. You need to be talking about school systems. You need to be talking about marriage.
The thing for me is I don't know if, because I've just started recently looking into people like Dr. Umar. And it's like, in terms of protection, where we need the protection is from the fakes, the frauds, the people that are scamming our community for the money that's there for our children and our future children's, you know, the next generation. You know what I mean? In terms of what happened last night, this morning on Tanya's channel, women needed protecting from you, Julius, because your behavior in the way that you were dealing with 3 educated Black women that are in close proximity to either being older sisters, aunts, or whatever. Do you get what I mean? Within the family circle, or even within the community. You know what I mean? The protection was needed from you in your aggressiveness and your projection and the way that you were articulating things, the way that you were getting emotional about things. He needs to work on his emotional maturity. Absolutely. With allowing Black women to express their choices in whatever capacity, whether it's interracial relationships, divestment, swirling, wherever they choose to go, that should be respected, because you expect us to respect your decision to make those social choices so you can have this proximity to whiteness. The thing that I'm starting to understand is, well, not even starting to understand, but this situation and other situation has made clear to me, is you guys are aware that Black women are the most disrespected women in this world, on this planet.
Yep.
And you are aiding in that respect.
Yes.
And the competitiveness that you're talking about, this tit for tat. White men are not jumping at the tit for tat that you think in your head is going on. They're concentrating on their businesses, their empires, their generational wealth.
Yep.
In the meantime, you're thinking about scoring one up to get one over on somebody else's relationship.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you guys are competing with us as Black women. When it comes to the Olympics, women are in their category, men are in their category. But when it comes to our lives, you're competing against us as Black women because you can't compete against these white men. Let's be honest.
Right. Won't compete. They won't do it. You know, they're like, no, what that takes, we're not doing. We're too interested in looking cool. What about looking cool? Like, boy, I don't give a about your sneakers, your hair. Your car. None of that matters. You know, I mean, I know it matters to some women, but guess what? Start liking women that are of substance. Okay. How about that? They all chase the same 5 women, you know?
What I'm seeing is they're cool. Somebody within politics or community needs to be on the bottom of the totem pole. And Black men have used their position to climb up the totem pole by using white men and other races' daughters. But it's not got you anywhere over the last how many years? What have you done with that so-called privilege that you're claiming? So instead of working with us to really build the community and back us up, you're cool with us being on the bottom of the totem pole. Let the Black women sink to the bottom and let them anchor the community, and we will do our own thing. I'm not good with that.
Yep.
Like I said, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yep. Exactly. They should be in these schools with us. The numbers should be equal. It shouldn't be, well, the streets. And you gotta avoid the trap. We all know it's a trap. They set the trap for all of us. Y'all act like they set the trap and the trap only catches men. And that's not how it works. They should be in school with us instead of saying, well, y'all stop going to school so we can even these numbers out. So we can feel the way we want to feel, lower yourself. Right? And it's like, bro, no, you got to rise up. You got to keep up. If you don't keep up, then what are you mad about? What are you talking about? They always go, matriarchy. This is a matriarchy. It's a matriarchy. No, it's not. It's a dysfunctional patriarchy.
Yeah, it is.
It is a highly dysfunctional pseudo wannabe patriarchy. It's not a matriarchy. Because a matriarchy would then provide the jobs. Black people aren't being provided with anything. And that's got to happen. You cannot say, don't go over there when you're not offering anything. People are going to go where the resources are. They're going to go where the money resides. That is human nature. And they love to talk about, well, the white man don't want you, and the white man, how you know what's going on in the white man's head? How?
So if you want to step on our backs as Black women, it's not enough that we give birth to you. It's not enough that we lend our bodies going through fibroids or complicated pregnancies or whatever we have to go through as women when we go on those journeys. But you also want to step on us, tread us down, make it make sense. Julius turned around and said about the fact that Black culture is being passed on by the way that black men are in relationships with white women. But hold on a second, it's black women that pass on culture. Even a black woman that's in a biracial or interracial relationship, we pass on our heritage, we pass on our language, we pass on even down to an example, decor. You know, sometimes we've got our masks, we've got our different things from. I'm Jamaican British, so I have things around my home from Jamaica and different parts of Africa and stuff like that. But vice versa, and this is no criticism to anybody else watching this. I've gone to a lot of black men's homes who have white women as their partner or they're married to. I don't see the kind of things in terms of black culture in their environment, in their decor, in their educating their children. They continue to have their proximity to whiteness by keeping up with the Joneses. Whereas black women are doing vice versa. We're passing on lineage, we're passing on language. Our children learn our mother tongue because of us, because of the close proximity of being a mother. So you guys have got to start taking parts of history that suit your narrative and look at the actual statistics, the actual facts that exist. Look at the fact that a lot of black men's marriages to white women are failing in comparison to vice versa when it comes to black women with white men and other communities. You know, you guys don't want to pay your child support. Not all of you, but some of you men that are watching this. Some of you, most of you guys, that gentlemen or men that are watching this, know a Dusty that's projecting dusty behavior, that's not paying their child support, that's not treating a woman right. How is that okay?
Right. Yeah, they definitely enable each other's behavior and dysfunction in the name of staying on code. And it's like the code should be for the whole, not for the men. Like, why are you guys like clicked up like it's y'all against the rest, against the women and children? That's completely toxic and bizarre, and it's counterproductive. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere thinking like that. You know, and definitely, like, I don't know why they don't understand the majority of biracials in America are born to white women, and the majority of biracials in America also marry white people. They also date and marry white people because they're raised by their white mothers, and that's what they're told. So they keep saying that they're making them black, but statistics prove otherwise. You're not making them black. You're actually creating more white families. Okay,
it's like making them black. How?
Right. Yeah.
Your culture, your lineage. If you're not introducing them to black history, black education, black events, how are you passing it on?
Right.
Like Julius was talking about, I heard him say something in regards to white men don't want to attend black events. That I know for a fact that that's not true. The amount of TikTok, social media, where you've got white men or men from other cultures asking about cookouts, attending concerts within the black community. Even here, when they had a 90s revival of R&B, I found out about it late. Do you get me? Because I would have loved to seen some of those artists come. But a good 90% of the people, a 30,000, 50,000 arena, was white. They enjoy our culture.
Right.
Cultural appropriation doesn't happen for no reason. You know, there was a TikTok where I saw this guy was like, how do I get invited to a cookout? And he's like, I'm sick of green bean casserole. I want to be able to taste seasoned food. I want to, learn the dances and things like that. We haven't become popular and trendsetters for no reason. So your argument makes sense to black men in the black community, but it doesn't translate to black women or other communities.
Right. Exactly. You know, it's a lot of selfishness. I'll be honest. Like I've been around them, and I've been like, you are very selfish, and you want this narrative in your head to be real because it's all you have. You don't have anything else if this narrative in your head about who you are and how things works, you know, isn't real. But it's not real. It's not real. And the reality is at some point you are leaving the fight for equality and equity. You are leaving it to your children and your grandchildren by not doing it. You are not, it must be done. It is human nature. If you allow yourself to be subjugated, it will only get worse and worse. At some point, you must stand up and say enough is enough and do everything possible. You know, stop drinking, stop smoking. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. You know, because you know, the Mary Jane, you know, that's another escapism for us. That's another escapism. And I say us for a reason, right? That's another escapism, you know. And but you know, it don't make me escape, baby. You know what I'm saying? I come running to it. I'll go charging into battle, you know, but I'm not gonna fight for men. Men have to fight for themselves. Men have to fight for themselves. And when I realized that, like, that's not my responsibility, they're going to have to do it for themselves. Again, that was another freeing moment for me, you know, because it's like, I'm always going to fight for Black empowerment, but I don't have to do the man's work for him. And I don't have to deal with somebody trying to subjugate me in any way, shape, or form, period. Whether it's a white person, a POC, a Black man, you're not going to subjugate me to feel better about yourself. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to find another way to get your rocks off, you know? And these dudes are learning the hard way that they're going to have to find another way to get their rocks off. Because it's not going to be, you know, going out and telling people that they was going out and telling people we wasn't shit.
And I think sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. There's a slight delay where I am. But this is part of the problem. It's the narrative that they want to spin to the other communities is the angry Black woman, is that we're worthless, is that we're this, that, and the other. Because it suits their interest again to stand on our backs, because then it has the other communities looking at us sideways.
Yep.
As I'm seeing that, like I saw a live stream where a white gentleman was talking about the way that Black women are coming through the ranks and the way that he doesn't see Black men as a threat. There's more of a threat from Black women because we're going out and we're getting educated and we're educating our children and we're getting the jobs now. So it's like you continue to push us down into the ground, into the mud, because you don't want to stay on the bottom of the totem pole. But you use us, our credit, our money, living in our homes. Like there was that lady the other day that for 18 years was with somebody and he emptied out the place. So you're willing to use us like leeches, and even feel bad saying leeches because even a leech has a reason for why it exists. If you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of you guys as men are willing to do all this and then pretend that you don't need us. Well, if you don't need us, stop using up our credit. Stop putting us in debt.
Right.
Stop using, you know, our vaginas for as spermicidal dustbins. Stop putting us down.
Stop using Black women for stroke practice. Stop. You know what I'm saying? I'll be seeing some disgusting videos, you know, and then they want to go and tell, you know, people Black women ain't this and Black women ain't that. It's, you know, because they want they want to explain when they're in these white spaces why they're not at the top. And so they pointed to Black women and they're saying, this is why we're not at the top and this is why we don't compete, right? That's what they're telling them about Black women. And I think it's so foul, you know, because I don't do that. I don't go into a space and be like, you know, life's hard for me because, you know, like it's such a cop out. It's such a cop out, you know, and then everyone can join in and they're teaching everyone that this is acceptable. I'm sorry, Nada Jean, can you hear me? Let me take you off mute because you're
okay.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, great.
Yes.
What do you think about all this?
I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of nervous. I'm actually at the park working out, but I wanted to jump in. I wanted to jump in on something you guys was talking about, and I think a lot of this stuff that we keep seeing on the internet, because I primarily see it on the internet. I think these men on here are kind of like jealous of Black women, and I really started noticing it during the election when you know, when we had like Stacey Abrams and Kamala Harris, and you know, like they say she's not Black, but you know, they group her in the Black category, and they started seeing these powerful Black women, you know, running for offices, and started changing the dynamics of certain states. You know, like for example, like Georgia went from red to blue, and they started seeing all these Black women, like, you know, all into politics. And I also saw something in Texas like a couple of years ago, where I think it was Dallas, where they elected like 20 Black women judges in one election. So they're starting to see Black women moving and shaking without them. And it's this extreme jealousy that's taking place. And so they're taking it out on us by saying things like, you know, we're too college educated. That's making us masculine. Then you got somebody like Kevin Samuels talking about, you know, putting women down for having a PhD.
Right.
You know, it's just like, why are y'all making it seem like education is so horrible for Black women?
Right.
And it's kind of, you know, weird.
Yeah,
because it should make them want to step their game up. You know, like who doesn't want to educate a person? Because that's like cream of the crop, in my opinion.
Right. Absolutely.
Like, why do they want us to be stuck in a poverty mindset? It's just
again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they don't want to, because they don't want to have to rise to the occasion. They don't want to have to rise to the level, right? So at this point, now they've demonized what you've done, right? At first it was like, well, you know, because y'all in school, y'all get, now it's like, oh, you're in school, it's bad, right? Because it's like, you're not going to come up here, are you? You're just not going to climb up.
Yeah.
You're not going to do it. They're shouting up at us. We're on the roof, and they're like, the roof is on fire. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're telling us.
Right.
Yeah, no, baby. It's not, you lying.
And it's like, why are we making it seem like it's masculine to go to school or to achieve, to be successful? And a lot of times they don't understand that, you know, we've seen what maybe our parents went through. Like we had working class parents that might have, you know, I'm from the South, a small town. Like my parents, they got land and, you know, in a house or whatever. You know, that's like regular middle class. But then when you come somewhere like where I'm at now in California, you see all the opportunity. Like you see people live in big mansions and, you know, you see all this wealth or whatever. And it's like, it's not that you want to, I guess, you know, aspire to have all those things, but it puts things perspective that you do want to achieve higher. You know, you want something better than what your parents had. I mean, that's just that's human nature, right? And they want to look down on you saying, hey, why don't you just be average? You know, stoop down to the average.
Right.
You know, like, that's why
there's no way that we can really win when it comes to them. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Because what you're saying, the jealousy and envy makes sense, but it's also fear. It's a subconscious, to me, it's a subconscious fear of matriarchy. If all these Black women are in high positions, we've not been on the journey with them. We've abandoned them, so they're gonna do what we did to them to us. So they're frightened that like they're going to end up on the bottom of the totem pole, and the same way that they've treated us in life, that we're going to do the same thing back. So if you hold us back, you put us down, you take away our confidence, you take away our cars, our credit, our money, it keeps us on the bottom.
When you know better, you do better. And they are like, hey, you know, we've been able to sit back and chill while they were in the 90s, while, you know, we was all going through it. But, you know, they would raise the kids. They've been raising these kids for decades on their own, letting us crash on the couch, paying half the phone bill, always making dinner, you know. But now they starting to get some sense, some common sense in their head. All of a sudden, winter's coming. All of a sudden, winter is coming, and it's going to be cold outside. Baby, it's cold it's cold outside, baby. Okay?
And to touch on that part also is quite disturbing because, you know, out here where I live at, you know, you go like 20 miles, what is that, Figueroa Street, somewhere down there. There's a whole tent city of like Black men living in tents. I mean, the homeless population out here is crazy. I've never seen this much homeless people in my life. And it's primarily Black men on the corner, begging for change, looking real rusty and dusty. And it's shocking. It's just sad. It's not something that you should gloat about. But it's like, it almost makes me want to be a homeless advocate. It's just weird. It's crazy. Like, why are all these Black men homeless like this?
And you know what said about that? They're like, oh, because, you know, the public assistance will help women and children, but they won't help us. You're a man.
Yes, they will.
And they will. Absolutely, they will. Absolutely, they will. But why are you saying, why are the women and children getting helped? Why is that a problem for you? You should just be happy.
They're jealous.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're so jealous. I'm telling you, like it comes from that place of envy. And it might have started at home, watching their moms do so much. And I think a lot of times with Black men, it's weird because they don't really want nobody to help them. You know, it's like if you help them out, they look at something that's wrong with you for helping them. They like I remember when I was in college. I'm catching my breath. I'm sorry. When I was in college, my stepdad told me, he said, never give a man anything. He said, if they ask you for $20, don't give them nothing. He said because men won't respect you if you did anything for them. He said they gotta work hard to please you. And I remember him saying that to me. And you know, my stepdad, he's like one of those shade tree auto mechanics, you know, fix cars and all that kind of stuff, whatever. You know, then I had my real dad also, and he instilled a lot of good qualities also when it came to men or whatever. So the man I'm with now, he's actually biracial. He has a Black dad, white mom. And his mom, she died when he was 16, but she was like a bankruptcy attorney. So she worked like 80 hours a week, where the dad was like a high school basketball coach. So he has a strong resentment towards his dad because he felt like the white mom worked herself to death. And the dad was kind of like I can say he wasn't a dusty, but he didn't rise to the occasion like the mom did. You know, so he has this thing that he doesn't want me to work hard. That's why, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and you know, I get to kind of do what I want to do or whatever. But he's just on this thing where he looks at it like Black men get with white women for a come up. You know, they want to be lazy. And in the words of you know, these YouTubers, you know, the men want to rest in their femininity. You know, where the women go out there and slave and do all this work, whatever. You know, I just wanted to say that and everything. But this whole jealousy thing that I keep seeing, because when these dudes from the manosphere, like everything they're saying is like coming from a place of hurt, or maybe they just regurgitating what they keep hearing from other, you know, Black male YouTubers, and they don't realize what they're saying. But if you listen very carefully, it's all hate. It's all hateration. Like Black women feminism. Like I've never seen a Black woman say that she was a feminist.
Right.
I've never seen it. I never really, when I thought about the word feminist, I thought about like dainty women, like feminine. I didn't know it was a thing.
Right.
You know? So
Right.
it's like they're mad because,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I don't understand where this coming from, because they keep bringing up stuff from the 50s and the 60s. And I'm like, I wasn't even born in the 50s and 60s. And then when they start talking about this rhetoric that black women been attacking black men since the 80s from Oprah, and I was like, I don't remember Oprah ever saying nothing about black men. Her whole show was dedicated to
no, me neither.
And their problems.
Right, yeah. They're like, every episode.
Yeah, and I think because they're jealous because Oprah never got married.
Right.
You know, she never
supported
a
man, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she never sported Stedman on her arm like that. We know she went Stedman, but she never really showcased Stedman as her man. Mm-hmm. So they kind of demonized, you know, her for that or whatever. And Sally, Jesse Raphael and Ricky Lake, I watched them. They were white women. And it's like, y'all need to go after the white women for attacking you guys.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and you heard this guy, Julius.
Yes.
He's talking about Emmett Till, and he's saying this justifies us being with white women. And it's like, what are you talking about?
Right.
What a bizarre, and again, they're playing phone tag with one another. They're changing history as if history is oral and you can't look it up. They're changing history. They're telling each other different lies and making this narrative because they don't want to look black women in the face and say we're not going to do the work. They don't want to admit that they don't want to do the work, that they don't want to compete. So they're making up a bunch of lies and excuses.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. You know, it's sad, you know, because it's a lot of deflecting and it's a lot of projecting and gaslighting. And it's like, you can see the anger in some of these dudes. I've seen some of these guys talking, you know, and they'll be like, I'm never getting married. And, you know, they'll be like 20 years old, you know? And I'm like, why are you so angry? And it's because I think that they can see the immense amount of work ahead of them that they would have to do.
They're really going to do the work. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you about an experience that I had. I was doing a photography project. I'm an artist. One of my main specialities is photography. So I was in Germany for a couple of weeks to be able to complete this project for an organization that I do voluntary work with. I contribute once a year, sometimes my skills towards, you know, helping the community in different ways. So I was out there. A situation occurred when I was in the train station. I'd been going nonstop for 72 hours. My feet were burning. Do you get me? Skin's peeling, the balls of my feet. I basically couldn't walk anymore. The other part of the party that I'd kind of got to know through the trip, they two of them were white men and another woman was a black woman, and there was a white woman there. So one of the guys, the white guy was helping me up the steps and, you know, holding my arm going up the steps. Two black guys came out of nowhere, started cursing, going on, calling me that I don't use the N-word personally. You know, each to their own, but they was calling me the N-word, saying how I like to do things, to give white men blowjobs and all these kind of things. And I'm like, I'm confused because I'm there minding my own business. I'm just trying to get on the train so I can get back to my accommodation. And at the time, they said some things in another language, which I quickly understood. And I'm not going to lie, I got triggered and I started cursing them out. The people that I was with had never seen me like that. And I was like, you don't fully understand what they're saying. At the same time, I had to explain to them because I was in a relationship with a black man. I'm minding my own business. I'm supposed to go and see him later for us to go and have lunch. And I'm like, do you know who I'm with? You don't know. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You're assuming that I'm with this man who's helping me up the steps because I'm in pain. But you assume that I'm a bed wench. You assume that I'm all these sluts, all these. Sorry, I apologize if I'm saying anything expletive. That's
it's fine.
So just like Julius got triggered, these guys got triggered. At the same time, I've seen a whole heap of guys come over because of different things going on in Liberia and different parts of Africa that have ended up in Europe who are marrying the white Europeans or the people that have got their stay, for them to stay in different parts of Europe. So you're having a go at me. That's not doing anything, minding my own business, just trying to get back to my hostel because of your insecurities, because of your traumas, your triggers, your projections.
Right.
But there's a whole heap of you that are fine with going and using a woman for her home, using a woman for her car, using a woman for her status in the country, so that you can step on her and get yours. Make it make sense.
Right. Don't want to build your own. And Nadine, you're muted. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Can I talk now?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And you know the whole thing that went around with the companies like Goldman Sachs, what is it, Grayman America, Visa, MasterCard, Lindustry. It's like a whole group of companies that actually got together and started designating all this money to Black women.
Oh yeah.
For their businesses and stuff. And so when the dudes on the internet got held to that, you know, they started making videos about it, saying that we were destitute, that this is welfare. And I'm like, this is not money from the government per se. This is from these companies.
Right.
You know, even if they did get the PPP loans from the government, they're investing it in Black women. So when they go around and try to tarnish our image, or try to think they're tarnishing our image, they're not doing a good job, because these companies are looking at us totally different from how these Black men are judging us on the internet. You know, they see that we're the most educated, but then you hear a narrative they get from Kevin Samuels that says, no, we're the most enrolled, you know, to try to knock us down a notch or whatever. And it's like they want to carry these talking points to try to make us feel bad, or not to like take the money or whatever, because they got this whole thing, you know, we're welfare queens, and you know, and it's like, no, we're Black women. I don't know any Black women that's on welfare. You know, so I don't. And then welfare, do they even give you a lot of money? Like, how can you live off welfare? You know, and
right, exactly.
Here in the UK, welfare money is survival money. Let me just tell you that. Here in the UK, I can't speak for America, but here in the UK, welfare money is survival money.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can just about survive off it.
Right, of course.
You get what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not something that you can live and have a luxurious, opulent life. It's survival.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, they chose welfare. Who would choose food stamps, government cheese, subjugation, the way they treat you in the welfare office? Baby, I went through the system. I grew up in abject poverty. I remember sitting in that office with my mother. There's no dignity in that, waiting in those long ass lines. Who would do that and kick out a man that owned a house, your good husband, he bought you a ring and a car, he bought you a house, but here comes a slice of government cheese doing a dance. And you're like, you know what? Get out of here. I want to wait in line for 4 hours for $50 of food stamps for me and my 5 kids. That's what I want to do. I mean, it sounds so damn stupid.
I know, and then on top of that, you know how like some Black men are into licks. You know what licks are? Like, they do anything to try to get more money. So a lot of times, even during back in the day or whatever, they would have a woman in the house, but they probably didn't marry her, because it was like, okay, we're gonna cohabitate so we can get the government benefits. I'm gonna work, you're gonna work, and we're just gonna have extra money coming in. So it's kind of like this whole thing where the Black men were in on it too, you know? So it's not like Black women were like, you got to get out of my house because I didn't get this welfare check. It was. I don't think that was ever the case, because, you know, Black women pride themselves on having a man. So it's not like you kick a man out for a check.
Like, these stigmatized females, you gonna tell me that they kicked men out for a slice of cheese? I don't believe that. I don't believe that
either.
It makes no sense.
And I was there, and there's a lot of dudes that grew up in the suburbs. I was there, like I just said, I went through the system. I was at the welfare offices, man. It wasn't no men there fighting for their kids. What is y'all talking about? Y'all lying.
Right.
Y'all lying. Right. And that's just it. And then Kevin Samuels grew up in Oklahoma. Why are we skipping this? Okay? I don't know what they do besides have hay bales and fucking balls of hay floating around. I don't know what else is there, but he doesn't have his pulse on Black America. Okay, that's point blank. Period.
My history sometimes gets confused because I love history. Well, because of my parents, we ended up going to what I call Saturday school, which was where we learned our Black culture and our Black history. Because of the fact that white education here, you know, Queen and Country is teaching us something different. Mm-hmm. So as far as I'm aware, it was a Black woman. People can correct me if I'm wrong. It happens sometimes. That went and, you know, got the amendments changed for men to be able to claim welfare. So if you want welfare, go and get the welfare. We're not stopping you. Mm-hmm. At the same time, what we're seeing here, because I can only speak for, you know, what I'm seeing from this direction, is that when it's come to this pandemic, when it's come to certain things, you guys are going out and claiming PPE loans. Mm-hmm. You're not doing the right things with the loans that the government's giving you. You're showing the government that you're going to go out with your stimulus check and go and buy trainers, go and buy Gucci, go and buy Prada, go and buy gold chains around your neck. That you're not even willing to take that money, if possible, if you're able to save it and start some kind of business with it. So don't get jealous when you see these companies coming to Black women, because we're out there showing them that we are trustworthy. You are not showing other communities that you can be trusted when it comes to wealth, because look what you do automatically when you get it. You trade up, you go get a preference, you go get a white lady or something else that doesn't reflect the Blackness that you come from.
And the corruption, let's keep it real. They get into positions of power and they start getting corrupted. They don't, you know, they don't know how to run things, and you know, I mean, you get too much corrupt and hungry, power hungry.
And the best, and honestly, the best case study is that when they see like professional athletes that get millions of dollars, and these rappers, they see that they don't necessarily invest the money in the community. Like, for an example, you know, the Black community, we should have a plethora of grocery stores. You know, we should have we should have things that really matter, you know, essential businesses that really matter. But they see that these athletes and these rappers are throwing the money away, like you say, on gold chains. I mean, it's nothing wrong with having a big house or whatever. But like they get these grandiose houses a lot of times, and those houses kind of go into foreclosure in a few years or whatever. And then they see them doing like all this reckless stuff with their money. Whereas like when you see the Black women, because you know we're not necessarily projected out there like the athletes are, whatever, but you see somebody like a Oprah. You know, Oprah is taking her money and developing schools. You know, you see like who else is doing things? A plethora of Black women are like creating businesses and everything. You know, so it's like they see it right there in their faces. You know, so it's not like we're destroying the Black male image. It's like they are destroying their own images.
They're doing it themselves.
So that's why that's why these companies are like looking at them as if they are like kind of dumb. You know, they look at them like they're ignorant or whatever, and they
prioritize the wrong things.
Yeah.
The truth about the welfare situation is they're mad that when it comes to welfare, a woman doesn't have to work if she has kids. That's where they're starting. That's where they started this lie that the woman kicked them out and they because they wanted the money. No, the woman doesn't have to work if she has kids. They will give her money for those kids to take care of those kids because often the kids are young. A man has to work, but he would still get public assistance, but he has to prove that he has a job. And a lot of times public assistance will provide that job. And it's usually a job cleaning a park or, you know, it's a low tier job. They don't want to work these jobs. They're mad that they would just give the money to the mothers, but the men had to work. And that's why they would leave to find the next bitch. To find the next lick, you know, that would let them bum off them and not step up and have to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Because I always said, I grew up in foster care, and I'm hardened from it. I'm hardened from it, and I always let any man know, if you ever left me with a kid, which couldn't happen because the way I position myself, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, your kid would be dropped off at your parents' house. I'm not taking care of no man's kids. I'm not doing it because y'all do that. knowing that Black women will take care of those kids. And they don't do it anywhere else in the world. They don't do it anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else in the world, you leave, if a man leaves his baby and leaves the woman and doesn't want to take care of that baby, she will drop that kid off at the supermarket before she spends the rest of her life taking care of some man's kid. They cannot afford it in other places in the world. They cannot afford it.
You know what's crazy though? When I was a kid, like in elementary school, because my parents, they got together, in my opinion, too young. Like 18 is just too young to be together. That's just my opinion. But I know I hear a lot of people say, you should get with somebody between when you're the age of 18 to 24. I don't know about that. But I know when my parents were together, it was very tumultuous, right? So my mom, when she moved away from my dad, because we're from a real rural town. So everybody in the town knew each other, right? So when we would go to school, my daddy would come and get us out of school early because he knew that my mom had to she had to come to his house to come get us. Like that was his way of like getting back at her to try to get back with her, by stealing us out of school or whatever. And as a kid, we used to cry about that and whatever. But as I got older, I started realizing, because I had a good relationship with my dad and my siblings did too. It was like my dad, in some weird way, I guess, that was his way of trying to keep the family together. But my mama she didn't want nothing to do with him, period. Because how he treated her. And a lot of times as kids, we care about how our parents treat each other, but it's like how they treat us individually too, So, I used to pray that my parents would get together and stay together. And I used to tell my mom that, and she would say, stop praying that prayer. That's why it's hard for me to get rid of him now.
Right.
Praying for us to be together.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, but I like Dad, like he was a good guy to me, but as I got older, I started reflecting back on things like, yeah, he was kind of horrible to my mama, but he was all right with us, whatever. And I think part of that is because, when you live in a small town, it's like you grow up kind of like in a village, you live around your whole family, like your grandma, your aunt, your third cousins, fifth cousins or whatever, So I understand the value of family or whatever. And I'm sad to hear that, how you grew up, Danie. That's horrible to have something like that. But I do notice out here in LA, there's a lot of kids that grew up, a lot of people that grew up in that was foster kids and stuff. I never really seen that before until I moved to a big city and started hearing people's stories, because it was abnormal for me, because if somebody couldn't take care of a kid, grandma had them, your aunt, somebody in the family.
Right. Yeah.
So that's like,
and that just goes to show you how generational poverty affects these Black families, because my great grandmother kind of helped raise us, but they wouldn't let her have custody of us because she was so old, and she grew up in Durham, North Carolina, my granddaddy was from South Carolina, and they came up here, and they came up north, and life was harder financially for them. It was easier in terms of the persecution that they were giving Black people in the South, but it was harder financially. So that set us back. Then they kept stealing our wealth and redlining. That set us back. And then the crack cocaine epidemic, you know what I'm saying? That just destroyed anyone that succumbed to that. And to this day, the children of that, we're fighting for our lives. But that's another reason why these men get jealous, because look what we did in one generation. I mean, they were calling us drug-addicted teen mothers. And I remember being a young girl being like, you will never call me that. Never.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it if they tried, because none of it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, we flipped the fuck out of that. And
question in regards to your sister.
Men did the work that the women did in that generation. I don't know if that and
also that something you had said that triggered me to make this comment right here. But I remember, like, back in the day, they used to say Black women were prude, like how we were, like, we didn't do what white women did in the bedroom and all that kind of stuff, whatever. And so Black women started upping their game then, like, to please Black men. And then now they're mad about thought culture. And they're the ones that perpetrate the whole situation.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
They said we were cruel. We weren't doing that. We was not doing certain things.
Yeah.
Now that you're getting all this stuff, and now you got this whole sexual revolution when it comes to Black women. Now you're upset about it, and it's like everything that they do, there's a cause and there's an effect. And it's like,
did you hear what Julius said? He said, they want their booties. He's like, they want their booties. He said, white men want Black women because they heard about their booties.
That is not true.
That's the joke to me, because it's like, that's your assumption from white men, but then that's the assumption of, or what you've heard from white men that you are in close proximity to. That's not how every man thinks. Just because you think that way doesn't mean every other man is thinking that way about the woman.
Exactly.
Yeah, living out here in SoCal, when I see white men with Black women, it's like I see them with the real skinny Black women that are very heavily melanated. You know, like that's what I generally see and everything, right? You know, I have a friend that's with a Jewish man. She's kind of heavy set. You know, he got her in a nice house out there in Thousand Oaks or whatever, Calabasas, wherever, and everything. You know, she's Guyanese or whatever. So, you know, you do have those, you know, those anomalies out there. But for the most part, I see them with the skinny Black girls, not really with the big booties. But yeah, I think that dude Julius, he's just kind of manic. It was something really wrong with him.
Also,
and
when America was a majority white country, because it's no longer majority white, they dropped below 60% according to the U.S. Census. So, you know, there could be an uproar about that. But, you know, before we had a lot of the mass immigration that we have today, America was a breast country. And that's because white men were into boobs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's because the country got more diverse that people from other places are like, you know, we like butts, right? So that's not a reflection of white men's desires. Their desires are not a reflection of white men's desires. And they keep doing that. They keep projecting, you know, these men want what we want, and that's why we know they don't want you, and that's why we know they don't like you. Because we don't like it, you know? I'm like, oh my God.
My conclusion from this is it doesn't matter what we do as Black women. They're going to always have a rebuttal. They're always going to have something to say. Like you were saying, the 80s. I remember Pam Anderson, you know what I mean, having the boobs running across the Baywatch beach.
The Baywatch,
You know what I mean? Everybody was after that. Years before it was like Marilyn Monroe. England have had their own versions of similar to, you know, Katie Price here, which is like, I suppose, a version of
yeah, I know her.
Yeah, I think also part of the reason why this is such a big deal now is the fact that, you know, Black women, we know Black men, you know, we know about the BBC, so we're not necessarily, I guess, like infatuated with them so much. You know, we're not like we don't really you know, some Black women, we don't really like kind of look at them as gods, like maybe some white women or maybe some white Latinas, because it's like that's probably their first time with a Black guy, and they're like, oh my God, you know, and they're excited over it. Whereas Black women, we're not really excited. So it's like now we're pushing the envelope on some, you know, you got to do better than this. You know, like your BBC, that ain't really
right.
You know, we need to look at more. Like I think with Black women, especially like a woman like myself, like we're more intrigued with the mind. You know, like we're more intrigued with somebody teaching us something, giving us knowledge. Like that's what turns us on.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's what we turned on by. Where like white women are not necessarily turned on by a Black man's intellect. She's turned on by his athleticism. You know, him being an entertainer or whatever he thinks he can be or whatever. But it's like we're not really. That's not a big thing to us because we know you guys. You are brothers, our sisters, our daddy. I mean, our brothers, our cousins, or whoever. You know, so it's like I said, we need something a little bit more to stimulate us. You know, especially like I'm gonna say, speaking for a woman like myself, I don't know how other women are, but that's just the reality. You know, tell me something to blow my mind for me to be like, oh my God, like, you know, something intriguing. Like push the goalpost.
I get it. I think we call it a sapphosexual here. I need somebody to stimulate my mind, and that will stimulate my body. If you're not seeing this on, nothing else ain't happening anywhere else. I'm past all that. Oh, and then I never was about. As far as I'm concerned, it's like, okay, dick ain't enough. Dick ain't paying the bills. Dick ain't providing. Dick ain't protecting. So what do I need with your dick? far as I'm concerned right now, I'm single, but I'm dating. At the same time, I'm in a very happy place where I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my lifestyle. I'm happy with where I'm at in my life. I've been doing the work on myself, counseling and otherwise, to sort out what I don't want to pass on in generational traumas. I need to see the same from Black men, and outside of Black men, men in general. Because if you're not coming with certain things in your mind, your body, your soul, your dick is no good to me.
Oh
your
my
dick
God.
is no good to me.
Hallelujah.
I don't care
Hallelujah.
how big of BBC you have.
Thank
Your
you.
dick is no good to me. It's
Thank
not
you.
going to pay my electric.
Yes.
It's not going to pay my water. It's not going to pay my council tax.
Right.
It's not going to pay my TV. So you can keep that. You can keep that.
Yes.
I'd like to get on and manage quite happily without the needs of the way that some of these guys operate. So you've got to come better. You've got to pick yourselves up. I'm sick of seeing, like, for example, in Jamaica, for how many years the Chinese were coming to Jamaica and saying, look, you guys grow the best ginger, the most potent ginger in the world. China wanted to invest. They wanted Black people to set up farms and farm the things that they needed because they've got 5 billion people.
Right.
Instead, our young men, instead of taking up the land that is there or was there by our ancestors, you want to go out and get trainers, you want to go out and get things and gold chains and whatever on credit. The Chinese have now come in. They've bought up the contracts. They've bought up the fields. They are producing their own ginger. They are buying up our distilleries, everything that makes Jamaica basically beautiful. But you had the opportunity to go and do it first. You didn't want to, so other men have come in and do it, innit? It's like, why is Jamaica why does Jamaica and some other Caribbean islands having to import onions and basic things that should be grown on the land? That land is beautiful and rich and it has good mineral and soil content. The Chinese knew that, and when they didn't see you doing what you were supposed to be doing as men and taking up that land, they went in there and done that. You can't expect everybody to keep waiting on you guys to get up off your ass and do stuff. Our grandmothers were waiting. Our mothers have been waiting. Some of us as women have been waiting. We're over it. Well, I'm over it.
Have you ever
that was, my God. That's what are you gonna say, Nada Jean?
Yeah, I was saying, have you guys ever watched any of those United Nations meetings when they have all the leaders around the world come and do this big conference of the United Nations? And I remember I remember watching it one time. So whenever the United States president comes there, right? Like it's packed. Like all the leaders are there, packed, right? But then it was like whenever the African leaders would get up and speak, and you look out into the audience, it would be nobody. It would be like 1 or 2 people in the audience sitting there listening. Because these events would go on for like a week or so, right? And that used to be kind of depressing to me. Like, why is it that they don't want to hear what the Black leaders have to say, even if it's televised to the world, but nobody is sitting in the rooms listening like they do when the Canadians and when the Canadian president get up there, or the prime minister or whatever, and when our president get there. But it's like they have no respect for for the Black leaders of any of these countries. And it goes along with what we see now with Black men in general in the world. It's like the respect isn't there because, like you say, they're not necessarily building anything. And if they are trying to build, there's somebody else coming in taking it over. It's like that. There's no face to it. Like Africa is getting replaced with a Chinese face, because we know the Chinese is there. Like what you were saying about Jamaica, we know the Chinese is in Jamaica. They're in Haiti. They're like in in every single Black country. Brazil. It's like what is up with our Black men that they come off very muscular, very strong looking, but the people that rule the world, they scrawny looking, they're skinny, they look frail.
It's about this. It's about the mind and the intelligence. You guys want to put brute force power to a problem that needs to be solved with intelligence and intellect to be able to sit in these rooms with people. Your brute strength hasn't gotten you anywhere. It got you somewhere back you know, how many hundreds of years ago, but that's not where we're at now. To be able to come and sit at the table, it takes the kind of intellect that Black women are showing that they possess. And at the same time, you've gone out as Black men and disrespected your own women. So they're looking at you and saying, hold on a second, you're willing to disrespect your mums, your sisters, your own women. We cannot always trust you because look how you turn on your own.
Yeah, there's no loyalty.
No, there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. And so going back to what I was just saying about that, that's exactly the point I was trying to make, is that it's all about the mind and the intellect and the wisdom. You know, that's really what's taking over the world. Like, these people built cannonballs back in the day to overtake America and England, you know? Like, they went to China and got gunpowder and invented guns. You know, they over there in Africa taking the uranium and the plutonium, building nuclear weapons. And these African nations don't understand that they would never bomb Africa because they need Africa to control the world. You know? So if they stabilized and came together and stopped worrying about all this tribal stuff, you know, they could be a force to be reckoned with. But it's like, I know there's a lot of Africans that are smart, because you meet Nigerians when they come over to America, they're the ones that are the accountants and the doctors and the eye doctors or whatever. It's like they are smart or whatever, but like maybe it's not enough to like get things in perspective to the people, you know? So it's just kind of like, you know, like this whole thing, macho, I'm a macho man, I'm this, I'm a gangster, that these Black men try to possess. That's whack. That's low tier.
Yeah.
Upper tier stuff is like having the knowledge of knowing how to create weapons, knowing how to like, you know, go into space, knowing how to colonize these planets. Like, this is where we at now. We're trying to colonize planets.
Right, baby.
You know?
Right.
Like it's like a whole nother level now. Like these men, these white men are getting bored with their money. They're trying to take it to a whole nother level.
Okay. Oh my God, ain't that truth? That's some harsh reality, you know, the way you see it here in America with the politicians here. They sell out Black people at the drop of a dime, you know, and you can see them crying, and they're getting arrested for voting rights that we already have. Like, why aren't you working on the things that we've asked you to work on, like reparations? Why are y'all, you know, because everything is a farce. Everything is political theater. You know, these people, but you see Ted Cruz, okay, he gonna go hard for his. He gonna go hard for his. You can try to buy him out all you want, but if you ask him for something that's a part of WS, right? He's not gonna take that, because WS comes first, not a new car, not a new house. That's not what comes first for them. And that it's the same thing with all these other men. You couldn't buy them out at a certain point. You know, you can get some leeway here or there, but at a certain point, their honor system, what they believe in, family, their people, their land, right? Their pride will not allow them to let you buy them out in such a way. Like, they'll have a nice house. They don't need a mega mansion. But you can buy these dudes, and you can see them just living in these like lavish, you know, and it's like everyone else is starving. It's so corrupt, you know, and there's no loyalty.
Even in terms of
getting minds.
Even in terms of what we're seeing, because I come from like a musical family and artistic background. I was an artist for a long time here in the United Kingdom when I was in my teenage years. And half of the things that the people are seeing these rappers, these singers have, most of it's false. A lot of the contractual agreements that a lot of these young men and women are getting into, half of them don't understand what it is they're signing, because if they really understood what it was they're signing, they wouldn't sign it in the first place. A lot of the executives, or say for example, like somebody that's coming to visit your home because they're interested in giving you a record contract or football scholarship or a place in the NBA. They're coming to scout you, to scope you out, to learn about your parents, to learn about your background, to learn about your financial history, so that they know what to put on the table to offer you. half of you are not even negotiating your contracts. You take the lawyers from the music company that is loyal to the music company. You make the mistake also of taking the advance before you've even done the work, because you're looking at the advance as payment for things that you've been doing over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years to get that record contract. But that advance is not there for what you did 10, 15 years ago, or in the last how many years that you spent in the record, in the studio creating those tracks. It's for what you've contractually agreed to now. A lot of you set yourselves up with this phony lifestyle. Otherwise, half of them wouldn't be on OnlyFans and those other places, because they're having to keep up with a lifestyle that they can't afford because they're selling an image.
Yes.
Well, I was taught, because they used to media train young people. When they were going into the media industry, you have two characters. You separate those characters. There's one for business and there's one that where you're at home. You have to sell an image and a lifestyle when you're those rappers. That's what a lot of these young men and young women don't understand out there. You're buying into a fake brand and a fake lifestyle that doesn't exist.
Right.
You've got to work a certain amount. And a lot of people need to just look at it like a house or a mortgage loan. The record industry or the acting industry or certain industries are loaning you that money for your career. But half of what they're negotiating ain't even worth it. £1 million contract don't go the way that a lot of these young men and women assume in their head from seeing money or thinking, I can buy this, I can buy that.
Right.
That money can be spent within a couple of months. Security, traveling here and there, having an entourage and travel buses. So there's a lot of young people that need to look behind the curtain of these rappers and these MBA people that are getting involved in drugs, alcohol, sex, and all the other stuff. And trafficking young women. You know what I mean? You wouldn't need to do half of that if you had the lifestyles that you claimed. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on.
No, thank you. I mean, stop idolizing, stop idolizing people just because they have more money than you. And, I mean, it happens. There's people that have more money than you. They're not cool. Are they better than you too? You know what I'm saying? Like they're old or they're, serial killers or whatever. You don't know. Like, are they better than you too? Because they have more money, because they can do things you want to do. Like, these people are empty inside a lot of times themselves, and it's this is one of the things that I feel is hindering progress in our community, is chasing after this idea, and so many of these men, they're like, I got to buy my mama a house, and like, just focus on getting a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't got to do all of that. You don't have to do all of that. Stop shooting for things that are, it's very hard to buy someone else a house. You know what I'm saying? But you can take care of yourself. Stop shooting for things that are just way too absurd, and take one step at a time. And I think a lot of times too, because they have such lofty ideas of who they are and who they're going to be, that, and if they don't get that, then they don't want to do anything, because they're like, I'm a star, or, it's like, dude, you're just a regular person like everybody else. Even the stars are regular people.
Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I don't see myself better than anybody here or in the world, or I don't go out to compete against anybody else. If anything, I'm competing with myself. I just want to be the best version of myself. I'm not trying to be the next that person that exists. Those people already exist. God made me the way he made me for a reason. I'm here to serve my purpose, not go after other people's dreams that don't make sense on my path or my journey. Do you get what I'm saying? And there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of people, a lot of men out there that need to go and do the work. Instead of building, like you were saying, building yourself up off this rubbish on the internet and these fake lives. Go fill yourself up with the Spirit of God, or whatever it is that you religiously believe on. Go fill yourself up in reading. writing, in learning about the infrastructures, so you can change things. Do you get what I'm saying?
And you know what? And not to deviate from the subject, but I know you guys were talking about the whole thing with Julius. I wanted to say something about what he said. You know, when in the video, you know, we was listening to him, and he was like, he was pulling up at his mama house, right? And Tanya TKO asked him, like, did he live at home with his mama? And he kind of like was kind of quiet, and then he was like, nah, or whatever, right? But it let me know that he still lived at home with his mama, because everything that he kept referencing was like TV and movies, right? Everything that he saw about between black men and white women was like always this fantasy TV thing. So like, okay, he's a non-productive male living at home with his mama, watching all this stuff on TV. Getting all this bad rhetoric in his head, looking at a show like Scandal with Carrie Washington with the white man, and that's messing with him, you know, and seeing all these black women with white men on TV now is discouraging him and making him feel less than, because the women that are with these white men that are on television are like, you know, in these high profile positions, you know, and it's like, it was disturbing for him to notice all this stuff, because, you know, even he made a reference to the fact that his cousin was with a white woman, but the white woman was dominant and kind of ran everything, whereas you know, it would be opposite for the black woman in the relationship with the white man when he see it on television, because she'll be with a powerful white man. You know, so it was just like this whole psychology of watching and listening to this. To go back and watch that whole thing over again, because it was very long, but it was just like, wow. And for him to even come out and blurt out the call the white dude or what an end lover, it was just so uncalled for. Like, it's just it was just disturbing. So it lets us know what I was saying the first time when I got on here, is the jealousy that a lot of these men have for women, for black women particularly, and we're not even jealous of black men. You know, we just want the best for them. That's all. We're always asking for, like, strive and be better. And we understand, like, when we watch social media and TV and stuff, we see that when we try to push them up and for them to be greater, they tend to leave us for a white girl. How Kanye West said, you know, he did the same thing. You know, when he got with, you know, Kim Kardashian, left the black girl for the white girl. And
he spoke about it in the song, he spoke about it in the song, and then it's like real life.
You're breaking up, Nada Jean. I hope that's how you say your name.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Is that me?
Lost you again? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Y'all can hear me now? Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was just like interesting to see somebody on a major platform, like we watch Tanya TKO and Cynthia G and all these people. And I don't agree with a lot of things that they say, you know, because it's just kind of entertainment to me. But it's just like, wow, like we see this firsthand, how a man is actually embarrassing himself, you know, acting like this.
I mean, he really proved a lot of, this is like, you know, pointing out his, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he points out that, like, his cousin was with this woman to get all the advantages of her position in society. I mean, and then he says another Kitten Scamio's talking point that they repeat like it's history, like it's fact. He says, she's taking care of he's like, oh, she's taking care of him, but nobody cares. We don't care about y'all money. We don't care about y'all money. And I'm like, you just said your cousin needs this white lady for her money, you know, and then y'all do it to black women too. So what are you talking about? You don't have to look far to see examples of y'all caring that a woman has money. So, like, stop lying to yourself. That's what I'm talking about. When you're telling yourself, and women, I see women doing this too, you know, because there will be a lot of women on here and they're like, I'm married and my husband and you know, we were just in France. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people are like crazy. Like, you know, it's like so obvious that it's not true, right? And like, instead of telling yourself a bunch of lies, just acknowledge what's actually happening, because you're never going to get to a different place until you acknowledge what's actually happening. Like, no, like, people aren't out to get you right now. What's happening right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, and disappearing into movie land, you know, it's not smart. It's not smart to do. It's just not smart, you know, and they keep doing it. And, you know, sitting up at your mama's house, that's probably something that, you know, like, what else are you going to do? And he's sitting there, he's angry. He's angry because he has to deal with her, you know, and she's probably annoying him, you know, and he's, and again, look where he places, I don't know, whose phone is that? Look where he places his frustrations on women he doesn't know. And, you know, and it just makes life more unsafe for Black women who are already so unprotected. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. That's why I'm saying, like, please get a hobby. Please direct your anger properly where it belongs, because it's not all women that you don't know. They're not the reason why you're upset. Kerry Washington is married to an African man. They have 2 or 3 kids, you know, but he's like, and I didn't even watch the show because I was like, I don't care. Like, I didn't watch the show, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they act like that was the end all be all. Like, it didn't make me get into an interracial relationship. I didn't watch the show. I was already in an interracial, you know, like, so again, you know, it's a lot of the deflecting, because they don't want to be accountable for what they can do.
If you can hear me, I gotta. Oh, right.
I can't hear you, Nada Jean.
Yeah, I was good. It was nice talk. It was nice talking to you. Like, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, breaking nice up. Talking to you, ladies. I gotta go upstairs and get the kids. You guys. Okay. You know, we gotta do this again.
Okay, thank you for calling in. Can you hear me now? Wow, I thought you were a kid. You look young as hell. I'm like, what kids? You look like a baby. Oh, adorable.
Danie,
okay, well, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share with us, Queen Cascade?
I do have a question for you in regards to this whole welfare situation that I keep hearing about. That doesn't make sense to me anyway, because obviously rules are different here in the United Kingdom. So to what age can women claim in general with welfare in the United States? What age? What's the cutoff age?
There's no cutoff age that I know of. You can always, you can go down and apply for assistance. Of course, this varies state to state as well. So, I mean, I'm referring to New York State, which has very gracious welfare laws in terms of welfare laws, you know. But yeah, that I'm aware of, there is no cutoff date. And, you know, the older you are, they would be more helping, you know, willing to help you because you're old, right? If you're a mother, they're more willing to help you because you're a mother. If you're a single woman, you would have to get a job, you know, but they don't, this is something that they don't understand, because a lot of people talking about this, again, their families didn't even go through it. They like had a cousin that was like that or something, and they're speaking on it like they have authority. Like I've literally gone through this system and worked after I got out of the system with this system. And, you know, so women with kids don't have to work to get assistance, but anyone that if the man had custody, he probably wouldn't have to work. I wouldn't know. They don't, but they didn't get custody, you know. But so basically you're saying in England there's no like discourse about how Black women kicked Black men out so that they could get welfare.
There is, to a certain extent, and part of it doesn't make sense because as far as I'm aware, and the rules might have changed, I've got a daughter, she's teenage years, but the rules here, they try to push women back into work by the time that the child is either school age or the last how many years they've been pushing for when the child reaches nursery age. For women here in general, it doesn't matter what background or ethnicity you come from, to go back into the workplace. So if you reach a certain age with your child, that's what they're pushing for. And if you're not making those proper efforts, they will cut your benefits off. So part of the excuse that some Black men are using here doesn't hold ground, because there's a lot of women that can't claim and have to go back into work, and we don't earn as much as I see in terms of like the average man here. Depending on which part of the country, it's 26,000, and that's before tax, which probably works out to about 15, 20, 23, depending on the exchange rate in US. Do you get what I mean? So we've got a dust storm over here, and we've been dealing with it for years. But like I said, just the different arguments that I'm seeing around the world from Black men just keeps proving to me through the statistical evidence and the experiences that we're having that you guys need to get back to work. You guys need to get back to your education.
Right.
Stop making Black women the focus of your negativity, your fear, your trigger-worthy situations, because as if we're asking to be shown in different lights on television, if we want to be accepted into different parts of Hollywood and advertising and have that representation, that comes across the board for people in interracial relationships to be represented too. So you guys are going to continue to get triggered and do something that you guys can't come back from if you don't sort yourselves out. And that's not something that we as women will be. Some might be out there and say they're going to help you through it, but there's some of us that are not going to, because you're not putting in the hard work and the effort and the time and everything else that's required. And we are doing it and out here being super women, even though we're not women, we're average women who care. And we take the time to do it because we care and love our community. It's time to see the same from you guys. Otherwise, leave us alone. Let us just get on and do our thing. You know, you stay over there and do your thing, and I wish you all the best. And I'll stay over here and do my thing. But thank you for having me, Danie.
Thank you, Queen Cascade. You're amazing. Please come back. Like, I absolutely love this. Thank you so much.
I'm happy for the dialogue, and like I said, I'm learning from you guys.
Awesome.
And you guys are teaching me so much, because like I said, some of these men out here are getting women twisted and using these same kind of logics and rhetoric that don't make no sense outside of their world.
Yeah, absolutely.
The interracial counterparts, the same rubbish. It's time to change the dynamic and shift the balance.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Thank you, Queen. Thank you.
No problem. Take care, ladies. Enjoy. Bye.
Wow, that was really awesome. So thank you so much for joining me, guys. This has been really great. I think it's been a productive conversation. And I know if you're a guy, you're probably like, yeah, say this about me. Well, again, there was a generalizing, but it certainly isn't some all thing. We're very aware that, people behave differently, but there's also a pattern, right? That needs to be addressed. And again, in the 90s, absolutely. I really love that. It's so good having Queen Cascade to give us her opinion, and her perspective on things, and to hear what she has to say, because, this really is a problem throughout the diaspora. We're seeing this, this lack of understanding, right? That it's a very competitive world out here, and you have to be strategic, right? And you have to be strategic about something more than just conning women. You have to be strategic about competing against other men. Conning women, bad. Competing against other men, good. And that's just the way that it is. And people, things that my mother put up with, I'm not putting up with. And I made that choice as a child, right? So we grow and we learn. I don't personally know any men that don't take care of their children. I don't personally know any. Every Black guy, POC guy, whatever, that I know, takes care of their kid, but I don't know a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not anymore. Not anymore, you know? So it's like, there's accountability to be had. We got a long way to go, but I'm going to keep having these type of conversations here with y'all. And you know, it's fair and it's balanced. You may not like it, but it's fair and it's balanced. And you guys are welcome to, you know, I'm gonna keep having people call in and we'll get different perspectives. But you know, let's always keep it courteous and you know, considerate, right? So again, thank you guys so much for being here. This is the longest live. God. But that's okay, you know, like, wow. It was long, but it was a great conversation. Hope you guys enjoy. Thumbs up the video, subscribe, stay a while. I appreciate everybody for being here. I appreciate the high vibrations and the great conversations. All right. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.